Please remove any metallic items you're carrying. Keys, loose change. Holy shit!
They can suck my pathetic little dick, and I'll dip my nuts in marinara sauce just so the fat bastards can get a taste of home while they're at it. Fuck it. I'm doing it. It is. Oh my God! I'm hit! Motherfucker! I'm hit! The fuck?
I can't believe that just fucking happened.
Is it dead?
Oh my God.
Live.
Oh yeah.
What's going on, everybody?
Evening all.
What's up?
Oh,
Yo.
We are here for the top 5 action movies. So,
sir.
everybody buckle up.
This was a real easy one to do. There was no problem, no issues, nothing. You know, such a narrow, subject. I mean, they're just really easy to pick your 5 from. Honestly.
Oh yeah, really easy.
You know, I thought that until about 2 hours ago. I
Yeah.
started rethinking shit.
Yeah.
So,
Starting your life over.
yeah, starting my life over.
Yeah,
And
it's,
this is Reed's top 5. How much? What was it like preparing for this?
That was a shit show. Changed it 100 times. Still changing it, thinking about changing it, looking at my stack, but I think I'm locked in.
It's not as easy as it looks, is it?
Nah, still, when you start thinking about it, that's when shit goes downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many factors to look at because you start thinking about, okay, this movie, that movie, and it's like, how can I not put this movie in my top 5? It's one of my favorite of all times. But is it better than this movie? You start getting in your head a little bit. I do anyway.
Yeah, and then you start watching shit.
Yeah.
And then you might as well just start over once you start watching shit.
scratch it.
Yeah.
And when I'm watching a movie getting ready for a top 5, I'm fucking Siskel and Ebert. I'm analyzing every little fucking detail. And
Yeah.
most of the time when I put these movies in, especially action movies, you kind of turn your brain off and just kind of just enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and also action, unlike most other genres, like, you know, you see, like, if you look at the genre like section in IMDb, you go to a horror movie, generally it'll just say horror, and that's it. You know, comedy, just say comedy. Action will have 4 or 5 different genres mixed together. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Action,
is it
thriller,
more of an
sci-fi,
action movie or more of a
or whatever.
sci-fi
Yeah.
movie or sci-fi action. It's like
Yep.
Zombieland. Is that an action movie or is it a horror movie?
Horror movie. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
horror comedies. Well, look at the
horror comedy.
You
You know, but there's a shitload of gunplay, and I mean, it's just like, you know, it was a shit show. Like Reed said, it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got those subgenres. You got adventure, thriller. You got westerns, war movies. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for everybody, but everybody watching, don't take this to heart. This is the best 5 movies we think of all times. This is our 5 favorite action movies. Our list is going to be different than yours. That's fine. I hope they are. It's more fun if it is.
Yeah.
So
Main-
y'all feel free to give us shit, whatever y'all need to do in the chat. Just, you know, give us your thoughts.
Oh,
If you don't
definitely.
agree with it, let us know.
We'll definitely be hearing some shit with the ones I've chosen. So it's
Yeah, everything they said, just disregard with my list. Mine is the best 5 by far.
Yeah.
These are
That
the
little
best
bubble you
5
live in
action
might be your
movies.
best 5.
Yeah.
So,
Like we always say, it's favorite, not best.
right.
Top 5
Exactly.
favorite movies.
Exactly.
So favorite and best is different. You know, Citizen Kane, maybe that's the best movie of all time according to, you know, all the pundits and whatnot. Certainly not my favorite. You know, so it just you know, favorite. It's all about taste here.
And I think these are more fun if it's our 5 favorite, not our 5 best of all times. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it kind of lets you know what everybody's about. So
I agree
We
with
got-
Brad. There's so many subgenres of action
yeah,
that go into
Yeah.
other genres, and I'm like, oh my god, is this really going to count as this, or should I?
Yeah.
Should I
Yeah.
keep it? But I narrowed down the top 5 that were some of them kind of split into other genres, but you know, the main genre is action.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, Jurassic Park is considered an action movie, but I mean, that's a Spielberg, like, adventure movie to me, you know, like, I don't know. It's just like, but some people might be just considered, I don't know. You know, it's going to be interesting to see what everybody pulls.
yeah. We got 19 people out there. Let's see who's in the chat. Chris C, what's up, buddy?
hello, Chris.
Slash that like button.
Chris.
What's up, Chris?
Texas, what's going on, man?
Hello.
Benicio, the motherfucking Horcholo. What's up, buddy?
Yep. So,
Hello, Vinicio.
What's up?
the beige one.
Body count rising. What's going on, man?
Hey, man.
What's going on, dude?
Jason,
Bunch of haze back and forth. There's Trini. What's
Should
going on,
say
Trini?
that-
Yo,
should say that
Trina.
Anthony's Horror More was supposed to be here. He had an emergency come up. I'm sure he's got that squared away. He's fine. It's not like, you know, anything crazy like that, but he's just not able to stream tonight.
Yeah. So I'm sure he'll be back for the next one.
Yep.
For him. What's going on, Sydney?
Yeah, Sydney.
Hey, Movie Hunter 2020. What's going on, man?
So,
Yo,
How you doing?
All right.
Crusher? What's going on?
Hey, Crusher.
This is Hell Yeah Total Recall.
yeah.
Northman. Monica, what's going on?
Hey,
hola.
This is Hell Yeah, The Fifth Element. This action movie's right up my alley, yeah. It's probably my second favorite genre, right behind horror. Bunch of haze. Chrissy says the killers better be on someone's list. Hell yeah, that Rambo was amazing, gory as hell. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I always liked. Yeah, I always liked it for that. It was great.
Yep. Hall and Oates, what's going on, buddy?
Holland.
Boondock Saints. Shame Norton Reedus is young as hell there. Or
Yeah.
damn.
It's before his eyes started to fold over.
Thanks, amazing panel. Appreciate it, buddy. Hell yeah, Reed and Craig part of this awesome panel. Yep.
yes, sir.
Glad they're able to make it. Action Jackson. I can't say that. Action Jackson.
Jackson.
And Stone Cold best be on someone's list.
We'll see.
Action Jackson.
Damn Dirty 8. What's going on, man? Yeah, Taken's top tier for me. Yep. Got a list of particular skills. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And Mike says, wow, so nice to see all of you. Same to you, Monica. Appreciate you being
Yeah,
here.
man.
Yep.
Especially Craig.
Oh
Especially
yeah.
Craig. Body Cat Rods, we know Tony's list is pre-1995. He's going to pull a 2008 title over everybody's fucking mind.
Got it in one.
What's going on, Dill?
Oh, Del.
Yo.
Let's see. Get past some of these haze here. T2 was epic. Yep, no doubt. I'm sure it'll probably pop up somewhere. Sydney says, question. Ooh, we already got a question. In your opinion, what is the very worst action movie that you had ever seen?
Ooh.
Probably Gamer.
The Predator, Predator 4.
Yeah.
That's a
that
good
movie
one.
Gamer with what's the fucker's name from fucking 300? Fuck, I always forget his
Gerard
name.
Butler.
Gerard Butler Gamer. It was fucking terrible. I hated it.
Yeah.
I was expecting that to be good. Me and my son both hated it.
There's loads of really, really poor ones.
Can't think of anything right offhand. I wish I had a copy of Gamer though, so I could pull it.
Yeah, you do that.
Which I didn't mind Gamer. I didn't. I liked Michael C. Hall in it.
I kind of want to see it again because I've only seen it the one time, and I went in with the bar really fucking high after the trailer, and I really like Gerard Butler, and I was like, man, it was just bad. It wasn't good.
Michael C. Hall in that movie should have been Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman. You know, It should have been like a more adult.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's not a great movie.
All right, we are caught up with the chat, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started here, y'all. Start off with round one. And Master of the 80s, what kind of 80s and 90s goodness you got for us?
Well, I'll set my stall out real quick that there's a lot of my favourite action films that's probably been shown before on these streams. And some of the top tier films that I really, really like and truly love, I've probably shown before. And to be perfectly honest, all five films that I picked could have been Schwarzenegger films. I could have just picked 5 Schwarzenegger films and had done with it. You know what I mean? That's how good Schwarzenegger films are. That's how much I like Schwarzenegger. And then I thought, well, people know me for pulling random shit. So what I'll do, I'll pick 5 films this time round that aren't sort of a benchmark of any level, that aren't sort of people's going to go, yay, but they're probably 5 films that people may have never seen, or people may have seen once and thought, shit, I forgot about that. And they're sort of like middle of the road kind of films. And these are personal favourites of mine. These are films that I can just put on and enjoy over and over again. Multiple watch films that I really enjoyed when I was younger. Still enjoy them now, but really enjoyed when I was younger. So that being said, we'll look at the first one. And the first one is a film from 1991 that was released by MGM and TriStar. It is Toy Soldiers. A film about a group of young boys or teens at a private school. And while they're at this private school, I think they've been dismissed from other private schools, and this is pretty much the last one they've got a chance in. But all of these boys have got influential parents, and this is why they're at these fancy prep schools. And while they're there, the South American drug cartel take the whole school to hostage, and they're demanding as a terrorist kind of thing, and they're demanding the release of one guy's father, one drug lord, and basically these sort of like 5 guys who are the sort of like, I'm not saying they're the bad boys of the school, but they're the guys who are up to no good constantly, take it on themselves to try and sort shit out. Now, you'd think sort of like 5 boys aged between 15 and 16 trying to take on a drug cartel, they'd have no chance. But oh no, with hijinks and mischief, they fucking pull it off. It's a really, really good film. A good roll call of actors. You've got Sean Astin, you've got Will Wheaton, Lou Gossett Jr. is in here. He plays a principal of the school. You've got Keith Coogan from Don't Tell Mum the Babysitter's Dead and Adventures in Babysitting and all that kind of stuff. T. Russell, who you didn't really see him much after this, but he gives a good portrayal in this. And Demon Elliott, who you'll know from 2 Indiana Jones films, plays the older gentleman in the Indiana Jones films. Really good. Lou Gossett's great in it, like Lou Gossett always is. Sean Astin's fantastic in it. The only actor that I feel really sorry for in this is Keith Coogan, because Keith Coogan's done a little bit before this film, and he's getting to know, but his actual character in it is like next to nothing. And it's a shame for him, really, because it looks like he had more to give, but a lot got cut out. The character never really develops for him. But really, really entertaining film, really fun film. I think it's one of those films that people sort of got on a back burner, on the back of the mind somewhere. They've probably seen it years and years ago. Video rental, late night TV. This did have a theatrical run when it came out. This was made on a budget of £10 million in 1991, which was obviously still up there with money wise. You know what I mean? And I suppose the cast in it and some of the special effects in it still hold up really, really well. It's shot extremely well. It looks really good. And surprisingly, this took 15 million at the box office. So it was classed as a hit, really. You know what I mean? But I think it went under a lot of people's radars. There was a lot of these kind of films, sort of mid-80s, where the big like gangs of teens or trying to pull something off or do something. And I think the one that overshadows them all is Red Dawn. I think out of all of this kind of stuff, Red Dawn is probably the better film within this kind of subgenre of film. But taking nothing away from Toy Soldiers, it is really entertaining. It's a good film. It's 100 minutes long. It does what it does. It gets you in, it gets you up to speed really quick, and it gets you out. And it's entertaining all the way through. It just never really lets up. A 101 film's released in the UK. So if you're looking for it in the UK, you can get it on 101. Pretty much bare bones. I think in the US, was it put out by Shout Factory? Was it a Shout Factory title? I think in the US.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm not familiar with that.
Was it not? It's definitely got a US release. But like I said, if you've never seen it before, definitely give it a whirl. It's loads of fun. It doesn't feel like a 90s film. It sort of feels like a sort of back end of an 80s film that's been dragged into the 90s. But like I say, it came out in 91. But yeah, bags of fun. That's Toy Soldiers.
It looks like it has a Sony release over here. Best I can tell.
Right.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, and it was a dual thing between MGM and TriStar when it came out.
But doesn't sound that far fetched. I mean,
I've seen that in theaters. I always enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Macaulay Culkin can take down 2 hardened criminals in his house on Christmas. 5 prep school kids can take down a drug cartel.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5. Like I said, all 5 of these you could consider a banger. All right, it was so hard to place these in a top 5 order, but I'm kind of going off of just how much I've watched them and how much I really enjoy them from 5 to 1. All right, and this one could be somebody's number 1. I don't know, but this is an absolute classic. It's a mid-90s action movie. I've been telling Pops a few times that this needs a 4K really bad, and that is 1996, The Rock.
Rare film.
This is like the best of Michael Bay that you're going to get. And I know Transformers is pretty good, and I know Pops loves his Armageddon, but to me, I think this is Michael Bay's best movie.
Yeah,
agreed.
You know, you got a really good cast of Sean Connery coming back from a long hiatus of acting, coming back from, almost like he's playing an older James Bond, which is kind of cool. You got Nicolas Cage, who was just starting to become a star, really big in Hollywood. You got Ed Harris. Movies about a group of Marines that go rogue who, they pretty much take all these chemical weapons and they threaten to bomb, what was it, San Francisco or San Diego? I forget.
Yep.
Was it
San Francisco?
They threatened to bomb San Francisco because the general is pissed off at the Pentagon for not, giving fallen soldiers under his command a military funeral and families weren't compensated. It was all kind of covered up. So they take over Alcatraz while people are in there touring it. The SEALs get wind of it, and they try to go in, and they take Sean Connery with them because he was the only person to ever escape Alcatraz.
As you would.
And Clint Eastwood. Sorry, Pops. That's your boy.
Right.
But, yeah,
You
they
just,
take
you just
Sean
fucking up,
Connery,
Greg.
who's
You
been in
fucking up. You may
prison.
not come back.
They take Sean Connery out of prison to lead the SEALs into the Rock. They take Nicolas Cage with them because he's a chemical weapons expert for the FBI. They infiltrate Alcatraz. Unfortunately, the SEALs were the Marines were one step ahead of them. They ambushed the SEALs. The only two remaining left were Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. So the whole movie pretty much goes with them trying to like track down each of these rockets with that chemical weapon inside of it before they can launch the gas onto the people. When I talk about like tense moments in the movie, like that part in the shower room where they get ambushed by the Marines, like Michael Biehn from Terminator, you know, when they're talking about you guys are United States Marines, have you forgotten that? And it just gets so tense. The music by Michael Bay is awesome. I'm sorry, by Hans Zimmer. You know, it just gets really tense and just a very sad scene to see them just get taken out the way they do. It was a massacre. So you're going to see like cameos from Candyman himself. Tony Todd plays one of the psychopathic Marines. So it's just like, you know, towards the end of the movie, they start picking the Marines off one by one and trying to, you know, defuse the rockets, taking the chips out of them before they get bombed, you know, by the jets. You know, they're trying to like stop launching the gas. But yeah, just a really, really awesome 90s action movie that I think everyone needs to see at least once. It just gets better with age. There's not a time where I'm not watching this where I'm thinking, oh, this is boring. I'm into this movie every time I turn it on. Very well deserving of a 4K release.
Absolutely.
I think Disney needs to get on that because this was a Touchstone title, or was it Hollywood Pictures? Yeah, Hollywood Pictures. It's owned by Disney. Ever since they took over Fox and they started doing the streaming platform, they kind of really put physical media to the side. However, Prey is getting a release on 4K, so it's giving me hope that you know, more of their properties are going to get put out for a physical release.
Yeah.
So so The Rock, 1996. If you haven't seen this movie, check it out. It's just one action scene after the other. You're going to love Sean Connery in this. Nicolas Cage is probably at his best, I think. This movie has a lot going for it. So I recommend The Rock, 1996.
Yeah, you know, people forget that Nick Cage was a huge action star, big blockbusters across the board. Now he's kind of a joke, as the kids would say, but he was a big star in the 90s, one of the kings of the 90s. So, he's been in tons of action movies.
And that movie there was supposed to be a lot more straight-laced, but Michael Bay let Nicolas Cage improvise a lot of his lines. You know, like the name of Zeus's butthole and all that kind of shit was all improvised. You know, I love whenever the air conditioner unit, whatever, falls on that guy and his legs twitching.
Oh, the guy's feet are moving. Yeah.
That's one of the greatest things.
Yeah,
but he's like, "What is that?"
Well, yeah, whatever they use in those, like there's a prop on Etsy. You can buy one of those little green pearls that make the gas.
Yeah.
You can buy those on Etsy. I thought one was kind of cool. You could just go on there and buy it and put it on a little stand, kind of like an everlasting gobstopper. You know what I mean? And display it. But yeah, that movie, like I remember the first time I seen that as a kid, that freaked me out because when they go to steal their gas in the beginning of the movie, when they rob the chemical facility. And the one of the pearls falls off and breaks, and the guy gets locked in there with it, and his skin starts melting off and stuff. That actually stuck with me for a long time. Like, it's kind of gross.
It was a great way to show everybody just how bad the shit was. The VHS, whatever it was.
Absolutely.
So it was a good way to kind of set the mood for it. So
the fact that they wanted to launch that on what, 1 million people?
Yeah.
And have that happen to everyone, that's pretty disturbing and pretty sick. Then you see, like, at the end, when Nicolas Cage is going hand in hand with the last Marine standing, and he's got one of those pearls in his pocket, and the guy's choking him. And as he's like saying, "I'm going to choke my $1 million out of you," and he takes the pearl out of his pocket and throws it in the guy's mouth, and uppercuts him like real quick, and then the guy's his skin starts melting. What a cool scene that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, just another reason I love that movie. Like, there's so many good fight scenes, action scenes, a lot of quotes, like you guys were saying. Just this movie's timeless. It really is. So I really hope it gets more love, and hopefully Criterion, because Criterion has a laser disc of this movie. I'm sorry, not a laser disc. They have a DVD. I think Pops, you have that DVD. Yeah, there it is.
I had it on standby. I had this movie on standby. In case somebody picked one of my 5, I was going to throw it in there. So, I just finished watching this right before the stream started.
So Criterion, they do have a DVD release of it, and hopefully, either they do a 4K or Disney themselves will do a 4K under the Hollywood Pictures banner. Either way, I'd be happy with it. But like, this is one of the first Blu-rays that came out. So if you see like that silver streak going across, like a lot of the first Blu-ray releases had this case.
Yeah.
I think this is like a 2006 Blu-ray release when it first came out. 2008. So it's still fairly new to the format.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's due for an upgrade, and I'm really hoping it gets the love it deserves, because more people need to see this movie and get it in their collection, because it is a classic.
So if you're a fan of The Rock, whatever, a fan of Armageddon, check out The Rock. It's almost as good.
You know what kind of douchebags we are over here. We're the douchebags that celebrate Michael Bay. So there you go. Feel free to unsubscribe. Yeah, there's some nostalgia picks. There's all kinds of things. This is a fairly recent one. Great theater experience, but yeah, this top 5. It's all over the place. I got a motley fucking crew here, but I rewatched it recently. I had probably the most fun with it out of all of these that I rewatched. Well, probably second most, but it's 2015's Hardcore Henry. This is directed by Isla Neishaller, whatever. I think he's British, but he has Russian roots. He's known for music videos. I believe he's in a band too. He did The Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, that guy. And Sharlto Copley either produced, co-writ, whatever. Sharlto Copley is in every scene, I believe, or most scenes in this. He plays about a dozen characters in this. If you haven't seen it, Sharlto Copley is insanely good in this. In everything, but really in this, like, he plays everything from like a beatnik to like a warlord to a coke freak to pervert, a cripple, anything you can think of, he's in this. I don't know. Have you guys all seen this movie?
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Sure.
It takes place and it's shot in and around Moscow, Russia, which is interesting. It's pretty difficult to shoot a movie in Russia
These days.
Yeah, well, even before that, way before this, it was like that. I put the rating down here, what it's rated R for, because I found it interesting to let you know what kind of movie this is. It is rated R for nonstop, bloody, brutal violence and mayhem throughout, language throughout, sexual content and nudity, and drug use. So there you go. It says here, I also wrote the synopsis, a little bit of the synopsis here. Henry is resurrected from the dead with no memory, and he must save his wife from a telekinetic warlord with the plan to bioengineer an army of soldiers to take over the world. This movie starts right off. He's like, he wakes up and they're like putting him back together. They're putting cybernetic body parts in him. It takes place in like a fictional future, not too far in the future, but they're putting on like prosthetic legs and arms on him, and he basically is just on the run from there on until the end. It's literally does not stop 1000% of the time. I don't know. It's insane gore, crazy action the entire time. There's really not a whole lot of plot to it. It's just him trying to run this guy down for basically 90 minutes the entire time. It's a riot, and it's shot 100% in POV. So you never actually see the Henry character, other than his body and his arms and stuff. Sharlto Copley is the only is his only person he communicates with. The rest of the movie, he's trying to help him along the way. But Sharlto Copley is playing like this mastermind behind this original invention, who's a cripple who inhabits all these cybernetic organisms that look like him, but they all have different costumes. They all have different personalities. I don't know. I'm explaining this movie horrible, but if you haven't seen it, man, pick this thing up for $5. It's just it's just a riot. There's no better way to describe it. It's insane, and it's a blast, and you will not be bored at all. And when I think action movies, I think stuff like this. Shut your brain off, just get some popcorn and watch the fucking thing. And it's a really inventive and cool little movie. But yeah, Hardcore Henry, that's my number 5.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Cool. Go, Phil.
That movie's a blast.
Yeah.
All right. My number 5. It says it's from '99, but it opened in theaters in January of 2000. Had a budget of about $6 million, but it completely bombed at the box office. They showed it at the end of the little intro there. Definitely has got a cult following since it bombed. Written and directed by Troy Duffy.
Oh yeah.
Boondock Saints. I had to have this on the list. Kind of like Tony. I mean, this is all nostalgia based. These are movies I can just throw in anytime, no matter my mood. I can always throw this in and just have a blast with it, no matter how many times I've seen it. It is very quotable. I always find it kind of a unique movie, as they're always kind of phrasing, Bible verses and prayers before they brutally murder the bad
in the back of
monsters in Boston. But yeah, you guys all seen this, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh
yeah. Just quick synopsis. Tired of the crime overrunning the streets of Boston, Irish Catholic twin brothers Connor and Murphy are inspired by their faith to cleanse their hometown of evil with their own brand of vigilante justice. As they hunt down and kill pretty much every gangster one after another, they become controversial folk heroes to the community. And of course, you have an eccentric FBI agent played by William Dafoe as Paul Smecker, who's is kind of on their coattails. But yeah, this is just an epic, fun movie. It's got a dark humor sense to it as well. I was going to mention that scene that you played where he shoots the cat off the table and asks if it's dead. I just always crack up with that. That Rocco character is absolutely hilarious to me. He does a line right after that scene where he's talking to his ex-girlfriend's friend. And see if I don't want to mess this up, but it cracks me up every time he says it. He says, "I can't buy a smokes without running into 9 guys you fucked."
Yeah.
Anyway,
I killed your cat, you druggy bitch.
Yeah. This movie is just so violent, and it's shot in a unique way where they kind of show the aftermath of the crime scene before they happen. So it's always showing the FBI agent and the Boston police coming up to a crime scene. There's bodies laying around, and they're kind of going back and forth trying to figure out what happened. And then it kind of shows you what actually happened. There's one scene in particular, I guess I'll mention, that I always find probably one of the better ones. They're up in the AC attic trying to infiltrate that room full of mobsters. And they're kind of giving each other shit. And one of the brothers has got rope with him. Another brother's like, why did you bring rope with you? And he's like, well, Charles Bronson always has rope and he always needs it. And so they start shoving each other through the vent, and they eventually fall down through it. And the rope kind of tangles around them in a way where they're hanging upside down in midair, spinning. And that's when they pull out their guns and just obliterate everyone in the room. But yeah, it's super fun. Like I said, highly quotable. And it's kind of a weird way I found out about this movie. There's a heavy metal band called Bleeding Through. They came out with an album probably a couple of years after this, and the majority of songs in that album are all quotes from this movie. They either lead to breakdowns or they are an intro to a song. And I always ask people, what the hell is that from? They're like, oh, it's Boondock Saints. It's like, oh, well, I need to see it. And I've loved it ever since. So Boondock Saints, highly recommend if you haven't seen it. I can rewatch this any day of the week. Like I said, just too much fun. I think it's an hour and 40 minutes, but it flies by. And William Dafoe is great at every role he does. He's absolutely amazing as Paul Smecker, the FBI agent. He's always listening to classical music with his headphones on. He's composing while he's at the crime scene, trying to figure things out. It's just a great time. So highly recommend Boondock Saints.
You're totally right about that Willem Dafoe thing, and his disintegration throughout the he's he's got it all together at the beginning, and by the end he's just I don't know what the fuck I'm doing anymore. I thought I just love that. I love how he goes crazy. By the end of it, he's in drag.
Yeah. He takes a turn. We'll say that without giving too much away.
Our age bracket, it's just that's that's just an extremely popular movie. Yeah.
I've heard that like they're going to be making a third one, but I think that's been rumors for years. I don't know if that's true or not, but it doesn't seem like Troy Duffy's made really anything else but the Boondock Saints. So
I'm sure he wants to do a third one. Norman Reedus
I
is
bet.
like, I don't care if I make another anything. All
Yeah.
the video game money and all the crazy shit he's done, you know.
Yeah, he got Walking Dead money for days.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's got his own show coming out too. He's got a spinoff show.
Oh, does he?
I think so. Unless it's a
Nice.
lie. I've been seeing shit online about it. Unless it's just some fan shit. I don't know. But all right, man, that's a great pick. Mine's gonna be pretty obvious. All mine are pretty obvious. But my number 5 is gonna be Aliens.
Strong number 5.
Nice.
This is one of my favorite movies of all times. Love this fucking franchise. You got Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley, one of the most fucking iconic characters ever. Directed by James Cameron. You got the great Bill Paxton in this. You got Michael Biehn in this. You got Paul Reiser. And this is another thing about an action movie. The better the villain, the better the action movie. I'm a big believer in that. Paul Reiser is a slimy, worthless, no good son of a bitch in this movie. And the more you hate the bad guy, the more you root for the fucking good guy.
I sympathize with Paul Reiser in the movie.
Oh, he's what he is.
The guy's got a job to do, man.
Yeah, put a fucking face grabber there with a fucking little girl sleeping.
Yeah,
you're
you got to
a
look after
cold-blooded
the
bitch.
shit. You work for the stockholders now. You know, businesses.
But-
you know, we got to get that facility back.
When you got a movie like this directed by James Cameron, the one thing you're guaranteed to do is give a shit about the characters.
Yeah,
The main group of people that get trapped on the planet, whatever, you give a shit about everybody there. You know, Sigourney Weaver won an Academy Award, or she had an Academy Award nomination for this movie, first ever for an actress in a role in an action or sci-fi movie, which I thought was pretty impressive. Everybody's seen this movie. I'm trying to keep this as short as I can. What else can we say about it? I've talked about this movie so many fucking times. Decades after surviving the Nostromo incident, Ellen Ripley is sent out to reestablish contact with a terraforming colony that finds herself battling an alien queen and her offspring. First movie, fucking legend, you got one alien. It's a fucking horror movie. This is a full-blown fucking action movie. And I think it's one of the most rewatchable. It's probably one of the action movies I've probably watched. Maybe not. Maybe there's a couple more coming up. I watched this movie so many times growing up. I still watch this movie all the time.
and
it
I
ages
don't
well.
cut you off, Alan, but the difference in, I'm sure Masters of the 80s is thinking this too. An alien, that's a warrior alien. These are like the drones. These are the smaller, like the workers basically.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why they had so much trouble with one, and there's like hundreds of them in this, and they're kind of going through them a little easier.
So, but like I said, this cast, man, you have Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley, you have Michael Biehn playing Corporal Hicks, Carrie Henn playing Newt, which I thought did a great job as a child actress.
Yeah.
Paul Reiser playing the cocksucker. Lance Henriksen, one of my favorite actors of all time, playing Bishop. Fucking killed it as Bishop. Loved it. Yeah. Bill Paxton, the comic relief in this. Most of his lines were ad-libbed. Bill Paxton, this is what made me a Bill Paxton fan, this and Weird Science. He was great in this. The movie, like I said, it holds up. This is what I was basing these top 5 movies on because there's so many action movies that I love. I'm looking at rewatchability. I'm looking at the movie itself, the way it makes me feel, even to this day after seeing it 100 times. And I've seen this in theaters probably 5 times when it came out. I've seen this before I seen the original Alien, I believe. Because I remember going back and watching the original Alien after seeing this in theaters, and like on home video. And man, this thing blows me away even to the day. I rewatched it again for the stream, and there's no doubt it won't make it the top 5. The reason why I didn't make it a little bit higher, I may go into that a little deeper coming up. I got some bangers in front of this one, but this it had to be on the list. It just had. It landed on number 5. It easily could have been number 1. Pretty much any of these I'm going to talk about could easily have been number 1, which you guys probably feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, as films go, it is a straight up fantastic film, but also that as well. The sound, the audio on it is amazing.
Yeah,
it is fantastic.
It's a classic, man. It's a fucking classic. That's all I can say about it. And there's so much more I can say about this movie that I can't. I can talk 20 more minutes about it. So many details about it. I love.
Where it could be easily favorite and best.
Yeah.
Put together a top 5 best action movies, like critically, it would definitely be in probably most people.
That movie is going to be on a lot of my lists, not just action.
Yeah.
So that's why I bring it up so often. But And that being said, there's a lot of movies in that category that ain't on this top 5, and it still fucks with me. I think we need to do a top 20. I really do.
I'm sure there'll be. We're not doing honorable mentions. There will probably be a part 2 of this eventually.
All right, let's see. Chris C says, "Yeah, Gamer was meh for me." London, you said London Has Fallen. I love as an action film. That's a good film. Me and the wife watched it the other night. I like all the Angel action films, really. Dale says, "I haven't seen Toy Soldiers since the '80s. It's probably the last time I've seen it." Yeah, early '90s.
Yeah, 91.
Or Sydney says, "My number 5," and I really like Sydney. Always does this. He always gives us his kind of as we're doing ours. So y'all feel free to give us y'all's top 5 as we go along here.
Yep.
My number 5 movie is Rambo: First Blood. Yeah, fantastic. Sylvester Stallone, Brian Dennehy, directed by Ted Kotcheff. One Man, One War. Yeah,
great film.
Sorry, just had to look at my Rambo statue back there. Makes me
Still
happy.
there.
Dale says, "Chris, whatever it is, I haven't seen it since it first hit VHS."
It all blends together, and like Tony said, it's a '90s movies that feels like an '80s movie.
Yeah,
in the early '90s, there was a lot of carryover.
Yeah, loads
from the '80s that it was just like an '80s movie, even though it was made in the '90s.
Yeah, loads of it.
Chris says, "Yeah, I haven't seen Toy Soldiers either. I have to fix that. I remember the trailer when I was a kid. Alice Toy Soldiers is a good watch. I enjoyed it." Sidney Eubanks, The Rock, classic movie. Yeah, it's great. Hell yeah, The Rock is up there with me in action films. Mox said, "That's a great choice, Craig." Chris says, "I'm just here to get some rockets." He says, "You're like a chemical freak." I'm actually a chemical super freak. The Rock's a good choice. Yep.
Hell of a choice.
The Rock has to be the best car chases in movie history.
That wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. They just kind of added that last minute. They're like, "We need more action."
Yeah. Man, you fucked up your Ferrari. It ain't mine. Just sold a limited edition box set of The Rock. Oh, damn. I need to look that up. This is, I live in California, so when they launched the missile at Candlestick Park, I was like, "Oh shit." Dale says Armageddon with throw face. Come on, Dale.
Whoa.
Come on, Dale.
You know where you are?
Where's that block button at? No, I better have one more chance. Zarko Henry was surprisingly awesome.
Yeah, I thought so too, man. I remember seeing the preview for it, and I'm like, man, I'm going to see that. There's no way it's good. There's no way it's as good as that trailer is. And then you watch the movie, and it's like everything you thought it would be and more. It's ridiculous.
In Texas, nobody is so good. Yeah, that was a good one. What's going on, Ken? That's the best video game adaptation that's not actually a video game adaptation.
It actually does feel a lot like a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said it's Hardcore Henry, good movie. I saw it on YouTube.
Yep.
Because even though I'm not seen it in a long time, Invasion LA is a pretty good action alien invasion film.
Yep.
Yeah, Boondock Saints. Great choice, Reed, says Chris.
Something tells me Allie in the chat is not going to like that one.
Yeah, that's Boondock Saints is the best Tarantino movie Tarantino had nothing to do with.
It does. It is.
That's
it's
true.
Like that, yeah.
All right. Allie says, "Great pick, Reed. I love the Boondock Saints. I was actually lucky enough to meet Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery and get them both to sign my copy of the movie. That's pretty cool."
I know she's
That's
a cat
awesome.
freak, so I figured she probably didn't like the cat scene.
Chris says, "Dale, you must love Tarantino then." Crusher said 3 movies I must now find and watch, but I haven't. It's Toy Soldiers and good few times.
Yeah, good film.
Mike's DVD and Blu-ray. What's going on, man?
Hey, Mike.
Pops and everyone else. Appreciate being here, Mike. The toilet scene from the Boondock Saints is a standout scene for me. So
Yeah.
what's going on, Heroic Waffles? Let's say, gentlemen, what's up?
Hey, Mom.
Mike.
Gizmo, what's up, buddy? Boondock Saints is a hidden gem. That should have been a box office success, but at least it got a big payday on physical back in the days. Body Count Rises, Aliens, yes. Say hey to Texas. Cities, Aliens, good movie. China Loves Movies, what's going on? Hey to everybody. FES for Aliens. Bill Paxton is great in this. Game over, man. Game over. I do the worst impression, but I can't say that without saying it like Bill Paxton in my mind. My mind is sounding just like it. But
What is I forget like the white woman that they made look Latino. She's like a Jewish broad. It's the girl from T2.
yeah, she's
Like a redheaded Jewish lady that plays
yeah,
a
she's
Latino.
the foster mom.
Yeah,
I didn't know that for years. I didn't know that. I learned that on one of these streams.
Goldstein.
Actually,
Yeah, Goldstein. Yeah, she's like 100
Yeah.
pounds, and they give her the biggest
gun.
possible. You know?
yeah, but
That
it
was a
works. Man.
surprise to me. I didn't know that was her until I looked up on IMDb a few years ago. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that
oh
was
my
me.
God.
That was me.
Yeah, if you look at her now, she looks nothing like she did years gone by. She's completely altered.
But she was a badass in Aliens.
Oh yeah, she's brilliant.
Aliens spawned a franchise of comics and video games as well. Yeah, man, it's a great one. This is Aliens is awesome. Yeah. Alex says, I don't like that the cat gets killed in Moon Not Saints, but I can get past it because the rest of the movie is amazing. What's going on, Wild Wrangler?
Wrangler.
We're caught up. Moving on to the next round. What you got?
Okay. Released in 1980, if I put my teeth back in, by Embassy. We've got The Exterminator.
Oh hell yeah!
Robert Ginty film. I always enjoy Robert Ginty as an actor. You couldn't really take him that serious. But for everything he did, you know what I mean? They would stand out sort of like low budget B kind of movies of the time. He stars in this one as a character called John Eastland. He's an ex Vietnam War veteran. And when he comes back from Vietnam, him and his friend were held in a concentration camp. And when they come back, they're trying to get on with their daily lives. They both get jobs in a warehouse. And while they're in a warehouse, the warehouse gets robbed. And his friend and his former comrade gets beaten to a bloody pulp, and he's paralysed. And I think he's sort of descent into insanity and sort of like opens up the gates of hell onto the local sort of like drug cartel and gangs and street gangs, and basically just takes it up on himself to be the local vigilante because he sees and believes that the police aren't doing enough. And he sort of sees himself as a sort of a modern day sort of like Robin Hood kind of character. Works really, really well. This image on the front of this one always intrigued me as a kid because this was the image you always saw in the video shop. And to be fair, this image isn't even in the film proper. Same with the second one as well. The image on the front of the second film, Exterminator 2, it's an amazing image, hardly in the film. And the bit you do see in the film of it, it's a bit watered down from this. Again, like I said, Robert Ginty. Robert Ginty did a few things. He didn't do loads. His friend in this and the guy that gets paralysed is Steve James. You'll know Steve James from films like American Ninja, most of the American Ninja films, I think. Avenging Force, he was in that. Erwin Keys is in this as well as he plays the bad guy in it. He's really good. He comes back for the second one as well. For a film of 1980, it was made for a budget of $2 million, which at the time I suppose was big money, but got a box office take back of $5 million. When you look back, you can't really see how a film that was so small managed to do $5 million off a $2 million budget. I think for the reason because it got really bad press back in the day. It was at the receiving end of a load of bad press and controversy and negativity because of how violent it was and how it was portraying street violence and vigilantes at the time. It seemed to boost the film in its favour, and everybody went to see it because of the uber violence that was in it. If you've never seen this and you've never seen the sequel, Exterminator 2, it's basically the same film. There isn't much difference in the second one, but they're both extremely good. They're both real good fun. They're both only 93 minutes long. It pretty much does what it says on the tin. It's a bit of a revenge film. It's non-stop from beginning to end. And like I say, if you've never checked it out, check it out. Exterminator.
Both of them are real good.
Yeah.
I have never seen that, man. I'll check it out.
Me either.
Really good. Really, really good film.
I recognize the cover. Like you said, I used to see it at video stores all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I think Synapse has those releases here.
Right.
All right, so my number 4, another one that probably could have been a little lower on the list, close to number 1. This was one of the first action movies that I was exposed to as a kid. It was also my first Stallone movie I've ever seen, and that is Rambo: First Blood Part 2. All right, this is the one that I was introduced to the Rambo franchise. Would watch this over and over, even before I saw First Blood or Rambo 3. This is just a movie that, you know, it's an adventure from start to finish of him going back into the jungles of Vietnam to rescue POWs. When you compare this to the first movie, you know, when I saw the first movie years after I saw this one, the first movie was so different. You know, it was almost like the first one's like a psychological thriller and a drama, a little bit of action mixed in.
Yeah.
But when you can, like, so Rambo 1 and 2, they're two totally different types of movies. So this one's just a straight up like action war movie. So not only is he going back into the jungles of Vietnam, you know, to rescue the POWs, but he's also fighting Russians in this too, because the Russians are funding the Vietnamese people in this movie.
Viet Cong, yeah.
Yeah, they're funding the Viet Cong. I guess Stallone kind of had something against the Russians back in the 80s, because not only this, he fights the Russian in Rocky IV as well. But another one.
Twice.
But yeah, just to see the transformation that Stallone goes through, like he's like a normal looking guy in the first movie. In this one, he's all cut up and ripped up, has like 1% body fat. He went through a complete transformation, totally different in this movie. I think in this movie, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue in this. Same with the first one. He doesn't talk that much in this movie. But yeah, the violence in this one has kicked it up a notch. You know, I could think of that scene where the captain's like firing at him from a distance, and he just slowly takes the arrow out of his back, puts the that grenade point on the arrow, switches time, and just shoots the dude, and dude just blows up. Yeah, really
real fast. I don't mean to interrupt you. That scene you're talking about, the way the camera goes from the tip of the arrow and zooms to his face. Such a cool fucking shot. Such a cool shot.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, just seeing the way when he escapes captivity, so obviously he gets captured in this movie as well with another guy he was trying to save. He gets double crossed by the guys that sent him out there. So he gets taken again. And when they finally escape, I mean, you know, him tracking down the Russians and the rest of the Viet Cong, like just the different ways he's ambushing them and killing them, kind of goes back to the first one when he's doing the same thing to the police force in the woods. So it just shows you the kind of tactics he uses, how he ambushes people. But yeah, really great movie. I think the second one still holds up a lot. If I'm not mistaken, I think James Cameron wrote a screenplay of it. I think James Cameron had a hand in this as well.
Yeah, he's listed as one of the writers of the movie, but he's not very happy the way it turned out. He says basically they took his story and just kind of changed it all around. So he doesn't say very good things about it because they changed his original idea around so much.
Yeah.
So something like that.
Like I said, this is my introduction to Stallone, and it's been a favorite of mine ever since. And this is actually fun fact for you. This was the first Blu-ray I bought in too. So back in like 2010, when I started buying Blu-rays, Rambo 2 was the first Blu-ray I bought. So finally to get it on 4K with a gorgeous slip, I mean, that's awesome. I always thought this movie, like the way it looked on VHS, Blu-ray, even the 4K, it's got like a very grainy, like grindhouse look to it. It never really got cleaned up.
Yeah.
So the image quality on this never really improved. But I guess, you know, it kind of keeps the style of that 80s look, that grimy, you know, grungy looking movie. But still, it doesn't take away from the action. This movie is very, very entertaining. So if you haven't seen Rambo 2, I highly recommend this one. I think out of the whole franchise, I mean, 1 and 2, I think they're very close in my ranking. I think 2 is a better action movie, but I think 1, like over time, I think 1 has kind of taken the top spot for me as just being an all-around good movie.
Yeah.
I always get a little choked up at the end of this movie, like when he returns the POWs back to the camp in that helicopter that he steals from the Russians. When he's giving that speech, he's like, "I want what they want," like it chokes me up every time. And the fact that you think about that in history, there's guys that never made it back. Like what a terrible time that was with the Vietnam War. Lost a lot of great Americans back then. So it's almost like a tribute to them, kind of. So, but yeah, Rambo 2. If you haven't seen it, check it out. That's my number 4.
And that is actually Stallone's least favorite Rambo movie.
Really?
His words, he said it's like a cartoon.
I love it, man. I
can see what he's saying, but it's the most action.
Oh yeah, it's definitely got the most action. I think that in 2006.
Yeah, that and the 2006 one. I was going to say the same thing, or both. And like part 1 to me is more of a drama with just a little bit of action speckled into it. That Rambo 2 is straight up fucking action the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I never really cared for Rambo 3 either. I mean, Rambo 3 was like, I guess you take Rambo 2 and
Rambo 3.
Rambo 3, I think is my least favorite. I even like
Why
part
the fuck
5.
was he in prison?
I like part 5 just a smidge over Rambo 3.
Yeah.
But I never could get into Rambo 3.
I have a real soft spot for Rambo 3. A big soft spot for it.
I like Rambo 3 also, but it's not my favorite by no means. But I'm a fan of it also.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the Afghanistan setting, but I always like the jungle setting more than the desert setting.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I like Rambo 4 a lot, because Rambo 4 is very similar to 2.
Yeah.
So either way, I mean, it's a Rambo movie. So, yeah, it's awesome.
And man, you left out the best part, man. You left out the best part. When he grabs the fucking microphone and he fucking says, "Murdoch, I'm coming to get you."
Murdoch, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, that in theaters, that's when I hit puberty. I think my third nut dropped. Yeah. That was one of the coolest fucking things I've ever seen in theaters. It was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Even like another cool thing about the Rambo franchise, every movie he's got a different knife, and you can actually buy the replica knives that are actually real blades. You can buy them online, and I always thought 2 had a really cool looking knife with like the black blade and the axe ridges at the top. It had like you could open the top up. There's a little compass in there. You could put stuff in it. He had like matches and shit in there.
It's like the same knife as the first one.
It's a little bit bigger.
Made bigger, and it has the stealth paint on it. I like the spoof of the knife in Hot Shots Part 2.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
He's like drinking out of it. It's got a chainsaw and shit on it.
Great movie.
Yep.
Great choice, man.
Well, my number 4, 1991, God Forgives, but the Brotherhood doesn't. Stone Cold.
Yay!
Yeah.
There we go. Testosterone levels have just gone up to 100.
Let's bring the stream up a little bit. Let's look at that artwork. What is going on here? Shit. Crashing into the Capitol building. There's an army of bikers versus the military. I don't know if I've written enough about this. I got a few pages, but directed by Craig R. Baxley. He's got numerous credits in the 80s and 90s. He worked on Predator, a bunch of other things. Brian Bosworth as Joe Huff, and John Stone, same character. It's a pseudonym, but Brian Bosworth, that's a whole other fucking stream. What happened with his career? Pro football player, went into acting after he had too many concussions. Did this movie and basically very little else. Lance Hendrickson as Chains Cooper, another great role from Lance Hendrickson. You really believe him as this. I mean, there are Nazi flags around the compound. We'll get to that. I guess they're Nazis. There's no black guys in the Brotherhood. So take that for what you will. And then William Forsythe as Ice are all three of the standouts. William Forsythe as Ice is great in this. Basically, Brian Bosworth is a suspended Alabama cop that gets forced into a sting operation by the FBI where he's supposed to infiltrate an insane group of speed freak, bathtub crank snorting bikers in Mississippi to get the leader on tape selling drugs. First of all, the answer would be no. I don't care. I'm not interested in that assignment. I don't care if you fire me. It's ridiculous. And as the movie goes on, he goes into the compound. There's fucking cameras. Everybody's got machine guns. There's little kids running around. Women are bathing out in the open for everyone to see. It's like the biker culture is really captured in this or magnified in this. Everyone's sharing women. Drugs everywhere. It's exactly what you would think it is. It's totally crazy. They're having like bare knuckle fights in a ring just for fun. Just like, oh, whoop your ass. No. And they just challenge each other and they're beating the shit out of each other. They're shooting beers off of each other. Like literally a guy will put a full beer on his forehead and a guy will try to shoot it off of him. William Forsythe's getting involved in that. And somebody shoots a beer off his head. He pulls out a fucking machine gun and just unloads it at his general direction and hits the beer and blows up a car behind him. It's exactly what you think it is. It's ridiculous. It's retarded. It's everything that you could imagine possible in this type of movie based on that cover alone. If you see that cover art, you're going to get your money's worth when you spend the money on it. That's the way I would describe it. In the end, it ends up going in a direction way beyond drugs, of course. It becomes a domestic terrorism plot. But as far as the movie goes, every single action trope is in this movie. 100%, everything you can think of, long driving shots, everything, including the breakfast shake, where you got to put the eggs and the shell and the candy bar and the old pizza, the whole nine. The one thing I really want to point out on this is William Forsythe has Ice, who's unrecognizable in this movie. He plays like the lead henchman, the ultimate badass in the group. The slightest interruption, he goes from 1 to 11 insane. Spoiler alert, this movie's from 1991. Ice dies. Eventually he dies. He says things like, he's talking the first time he sees John Stone, this character, Brian Bosworth, Brian Bosworth tells him he was in prison. And he goes, "Oh, pretty boy like you must have done some painful time." You look like a grown-up version of Bam Bam to me. He's constantly fighting, going crazy. He hates John Stone from the beginning, and that carries through the whole movie. And eventually, John Stone gets him. They have a Viking-style live burial where they burn him on his motorcycle. They have a big bonfire party. They burn Ice. I don't know, dude. Just you have to own this movie. I don't know what you're doing if you don't own this movie. It's like I said, it's everything you could want in an action movie. It's Stone Cold. It's my number 4.
It's brilliant. It really is.
Yeah, they had this Viking funeral for Ice, and he's up on this giant wood pile on his motorcycle. He's got a cigar in his mouth, the sunglasses, and everything. And they're kind of like talking shit about him. Like, this guy was a fucking asshole, but he was our guy. He would do this and he would do that, and he was horrible. But God damn it, he was a brother. And then they burn the body. Lance Henriksen gets up there and kisses his corpse, and then they burn the body, and they all celebrate. They all pull out machine guns and shoot into the air. It is what you think it is. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah,
nice.
Well done. All right, but you got to follow that now.
Oh, I got it. I like Tony. I could have easily picked all 5 of these Arnold movies. I didn't. I do have a few Arnolds coming up. This is one of them. I think this is one of his more underrated movies, one that I grew up with. It's from 1985. It's got a 90-minute runtime that just flies by. It's just over the top, ridiculous from start to finish. Commando.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's jacked in like every freaking movie, but he is like extremely ripped in this movie. He pretty much kills everyone with every weapon imaginable in this. He essentially is playing like a retired special operative, living in some cabin in the mountains with his daughter, Jenny, played by Alyssa Milano. She gets kidnapped, and he basically is told to get on a plane to commit a political assassination, and if not, she's going to die. From the very start, I mean, the movie opens, some guy's getting trashed, and he gets shot up by an Uzi from the garbage people who are part of these mercenaries. So it kind of just goes from there. But he escapes the plane, jumps off the plane that's taking off into a convenient water bed right after the runway, and
From
it just
about 1,000 feet.
yeah, first. Yeah, they got some cool, as Pops mentioned, like the bad guys usually make the movies, and these guys in this movie are pretty cheesy, but they're funny as well. You got Sully, little short guy in the Porsche, the scene where he's like hanging him over the cliff, and he's hanging him by the ankle, and he's telling him like, "You remember how I told you I was going to kill you last? I lied." I was going to say this is another Arnold movie that I think like has some of the best one-liners as well. It's just kind of nonstop like that. You got Billy Duke in here playing Cook, another bad guy, and then you got Bennett, who's just ridiculous. I guess I'll get into a little
Bennett,
after that, but
For more
yeah. Like I said, just tons of action. I mean, at one point he takes a tractor, breaks into an army supply store, and of course it's got every gun known to man on the shelf: rocket launchers, grenades, claymores, you name it, he's picking it up. It's literally ridiculous, but so much fun. Even the scene in the mall when he's like fighting the mall cops, he picks up a freaking phone booth with Sully in it and throws it.
Yeah,
it's another great scene. Trying to think what else. Oh, when he actually makes it to the compound where his daughter's being held, and he just literally kills like 81 people in a matter of minutes. There's one scene in particular where he's like surrounded in a, I guess it's just like a little garden house. They fire it up, of course, and then they break inside, and he literally pitchforks the first dude, throws a circular saw blade at the second dude, cutting the top half of his head off. Axes another guy, cuts another guy's arm off with a machete, all in about 20 seconds. It's probably one of the best scenes ever. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I've seen this so many times. I can see all the gaffes with it. There's definitely the editing was fantastic. Yeah, I mean, when they're hanging Sully by his ankle, you can see the wire around his foot.
This is my weak arm, Sully.
When the Porsche that he crashed, that's all messed up on the side, and he just pushes it back over. When he drives off, it's completely clean on the side. But then when they pull up to the hotel that Billy Duke's character's at, it's all smashed up again. So there's just funny stuff like that in this. But again, the one-liners are great. And then the final thing I'll mention is just the end scene where he kills Bennett. He throws that pipe right through his stomach. And then steam's coming out of it, and he just says, "Let off some steam, Bennett." Just classic, absolutely classic. And yeah, just like Brad said with Stone Cold, if you haven't seen Commando, I don't know what you're doing. But this is definitely one of the best action movies from the 80s, in my opinion, and definitely underrated. And it needs a 4K. If it ever gets a 4K, that'd be great.
He snaps the guy's neck that's supposed to be escorting him on the plane. He tells the stewardess, "Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired."
He's dead tired.
Screw my friend. He's dead tired.
And it's like within 5 seconds of him sitting down, he like elbows him and then snaps his neck. It's like within 5 seconds.
Yeah, man, it's a great pick. All right, my number 4 here is gonna be Speed.
Cool.
Great pick.
Yeah, 1994. Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Daniels. Talking earlier about bad guys, Dennis Hopper, the bad guy in this, is fantastic. He's a little campy, but I mean, it's Dennis Hopper. And I think that was a great casting choice for the villain in this. He does a great job. The movie was directed by Jan de Bont, whatever, who also did Twister, another great movie. Did Speed 2, not a great movie. And he did one of the Lara Croft movies. You have a young police officer must prevent a bomb exploding aboard a city bus, keeping it above 50 miles an hour. That alone is all you need to know about this being an action movie. This thing starts off in an elevator, then you get to a bus. The adrenaline's going 100 miles an hour the whole fucking time. And just when you think it's over with at the end, you think, okay, you take a breath, this movie's over with. You got the whole fucking subway scene there. Yeah. This movie is 100 miles an hour from start to finish, and there's no way I can do a top 5 action movies without mentioning this one in my top 5. I've seen this movie so many times, seen it in theaters. It's just a fucking blast. And I think this is the movie that pretty much made Keanu Reeves a fucking household name when it comes to action stars. He really wasn't one before this. And a lot of people were not very happy with the casting choice, making him the star of this movie, not thinking he had enough weight, whatever, to pull this movie along as an action star. But I think he proved everybody wrong. His acting is not the best in this. It's definitely gotten better over the years. I still don't think he's the greatest actor. I love Keanu Reeves. I love his movies. But I've never looked at him as going, that's a great actor. You know, he has done some great stuff, whatever. I love the John Wick movies, no doubt. But this movie here, you can really tell that he's still kind of trying to get his chops as an action star, as a serious actor, not just a comedic actor. But again, Dennis Hopper, just talk about him for a little bit. I love Dennis Hopper about everything he does. He's batshit crazy. And just the way he sits in that little room and fucking talks to himself, you know, the whim of a madman. Just the way he does shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just great. And then you got the real cheesy Keanu Reeves one-liners, you know, like at the very end, yeah, but I'm taller. You know, it's delivered so shitty, but it's fun. You know, it's just a great movie, man. Sandra Bullock is Annie. I think she does a fantastic job in this. I hated they even made a Speed 2. Speed 2 was worthless. As soon as Keanu Reeves wasn't coming back, they should have just shelved the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a fun time, man. What else can I say about it? Let's see what we've got any notes. I took some notes about it. Keanu Reeves did approximately 90% of his own stunts in this movie, which I wasn't aware of. Rennie Harlin, and he's the guy that directed Cliffhanger. Rennie Harlin and Quentin Tarantino were offered the chance to direct, but turned it down. Tarantino later named the film as one of his 20 favorite films since 1992. So there's something right there. But yeah, Speed. If you hadn't seen it, surely everybody's fucking seen this. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a quintessential action movie. It's fantastic.
What does Dennis Hopper say to Keanu at the end? You're never gonna beat me because I'm too smart. I'm so much smarter than you. And Keanu rips his head off and says, "But I'm taller."
Yeah.
You know, the Jeff Daniels thing, spoiler alert, but the Jeff Daniels thing is like shit. You know,
Yeah.
they actually went there, you know, and Jeff Daniels was great in this.
Shoots the hostage.
Yeah. And like I said, it starts off just like that. You have no time to even take a breath. It just starts.
Fucking
You know?
Keanu and Jeff Daniels driving to the bombing. They're jumping the fucking car like 40 feet in the air is on the way there. And Keanu, something about him chewing that fucking gum when he's they're trying to figure out the situation. I don't know. It's just how much you think that elevator weighs?
And Sandra Bullock, she actually had to learn to drive a bus for the film, passing her test on the first attempt. So she passed her driving test on the first try. So, and of course, most of the action scenes are her sitting there with the fucking steering wheel. You have a guy on top of the bus, a stunt driver actually driving the bus out of shot. But all right, let's catch up with the chat here. All right, Chris C says, "Hell yes, The Exterminator. That's a trauma film. Very Death Wish type of a film."
Definitely a Death Wish clone.
In Texas, Exterminator is a definite favorite. The huge meat grinder scene is classic.
Yep.
Gizmo says, "I tried showing The Exterminator to all my friends back in the day, trying to tell them it is a good exploitation film, but everybody hated it." Exterminator 2 was the first. Exterminator 2 was the first one I saw with Mario Van Peebles.
Yep.
Gizmo just says he blows a dude's nuts off. All right, Sydney says, "My number 4 movie is The Accountant, 2016. Affleck, Anna Kendrick, J.K. Simmons, directed by Gavin O'Connor. Calculate your choices."
That's a good one, man.
Was a good flick.
Autism
Don't know that
was
one.
popular around that time.
All right. Sydney Eubanks likes Rambo 2. Rambo 2, I Want What I Want. From our country to love just as much as we love it. Love us as much as we love it.
Yep.
Hey, Wrangler, First Blood is the time Stallone used too much steroids with his heart almost failed. It's a fun interview where he can talk about that on YouTube. What's up, Ken?
Kim.
Ken said, "My top..." Damn, my throat's killing me. My top 3 is probably Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Terminator, and Superman 78. Superman 78 is an interesting choice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a monster Terminator fan, and that was another one of those ones where I'm like, I just don't consider it an action movie. I consider it sci-fi horror. So I left it off, but I fucking love T1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Dale says Russia was the U.S. main enemy back in the 80s thanks to the Cold War. And what's
Yeah.
interesting, something I read about that, when that movie was shown back in the day over in Russia, they made the Russians in the movie be Nazis. They filmed it as they were Nazis. And I can't remember what the Vietnam War or whatever, but basically they made it like the Russians were Nazis and not Russians. So they wouldn't necessarily be, thought that was interesting. There's more to that story. I read a paragraph about it. An article about it. Number 5 is Commando. Yep, strong movie.
Pick.
Dale says First Blood is a psychological drama with a few action scenes. Part 2 is a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Very true.
One-man army.
Yeah. Well, Randall says, Commando.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Aliens, 1986. Yep.
Great pick.
Yeah. Dale says Rambo 2 is a good superhero movie. Rambo 3 is a bad one.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Rambo 3's got a lot of charm to it if you watch it back. He really has.
Man, that's Dale. He don't like Armageddon, man. It's all right, man. We love him anyway. We love him anyway. Chris is Stone Cold for the win. Yep.
It's a winner.
Wild Runner says, hey, Sydney and Dale. Dale says, haven't seen Stone Cold since the 90s either. It's a good one.
Definitely pick up that Kino, man.
Crush says, oh, hell yeah, Stone Cold. Brian Bosworth was a great action movie. I upgraded the Blu-ray release and just came in the post today. Nice.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Also says, yeah, when I saw the beer shooting scene, I knew that's one, if not Brad's favorite scene, and probably mine as well.
It's great.
Yeah, thanks for the spoilers, Brad.
Yeah.
Anyone watch Stone Cold 2 yet?
I
Is there a
didn't
Stone
know there
Cold
was a 2.
Like the Commando. Because I love Commando. Welcome home, John. So glad you can make it. So, hey, Trini. Wild Randall says Vernon Wells, Commando villain.
Yeah.
Bennett.
Yeah,
Yep.
let's talk some steam, Bennett.
This is
Steam, Bennett.
Bennett.
These guys eating too much red meat.
That's funny part.
I eat green berets for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, liking speed. Pop quiz, hot shot. Jerry, what's going on, man?
What's up, dude?
Up.
All right, we are caught up. Moving on to round 3.
Okay. So this one was released in 1989. It's the first one in my stack that's a canon film, so you know where we're going with this. It is River of Death.
River of Death.
River of Death. After the last days of the Third Reich, a Nazi scientist escapes and disappears into the Amazon jungle, where he's sort of like never to be seen again. But a few years later, a deadly virus sort of like springs up in that part of the Amazon, and it starts killing off the natives in that area. And scientists start getting worried about it, and they think it's going to spread further out the jungle, and it's going to close into more open communities. So they assemble a team of scientists and put them together, and they bring Michael Dudikoff. If I get it out of the glare. They bring him in as the guide, John Hamilton. And he's hired to take this team into the Amazon to try and find out where this virus is coming from, to try and find out what they can do with it, and to try and find out why it started in the first place, and why he's taken them sort of like through the Amazon into where they need to get to. They come up against pirates, they come up against native tribes, they come up against head-hunting cannibals, they come up against giant creatures and beasts, all kinds of stuff. Typical canon film, absolute batshit crazy. But when you look at the cast, it's crazy that the cast did this kind of film. So yeah, Michael Dudikoff at this time was a bit of a thing, really. I mean, he'd done this, he'd done the American Ninja films, he'd done Avenging Force. He'd done quite a lot for canon and was really well favoured by him. But then when you add into the equation Donald Pleasance, when you add into the equation Robert Vaughn, when you add into the equation Herbert Lom and Justin McQueen, you know what I mean? These are some real old school actors that was being brought into a more modern film. which was a bit weird. But I think that the whole old school acting sort of lends itself really well to it, and it gets that sort of like Indiana Jones sort of like Nazi adventure vibe about it. And I think that's where they was really trying to go with it. You know what I mean? They come off the back of a couple of Indiana Jones films that had done well. Canon had done a few Indiana Jones rip-off, but still wanted a bite of the pie. And Dudikoff was the man at the moment for him. So put this one together. It's really, really fun. It's really, really entertaining. But in true Canon style, at the box office, this only made $250,000. So it was an absolute flop for him. You know what I mean? It absolutely tanked. But it found a home and cult status when it came to home media, when it came to the VHS release, when it came to the rental version of this. It's really where it found its niche. It really where it's found its place in the market. It was filmed initially. They wanted to film it in Brazil, and then they realised the budget wouldn't stretch to Brazil. So they had a look around and they sent some scouts out, and they came back and they said the budget would stretch to film in South Africa. So they said, yeah, that's cool. We could do it in South Africa. We could pretend we're going into the Amazon. That's great. Whereabouts in South Africa are we going? And they said we're going to Port St. John. Well, at that particular time, Port St. John was under sort of like tribal guerrilla warfare. There was all kinds of shit going on. So while this film was being filmed, there was all kinds of fucking batshit stuff going on. And the director of this said they was pretty much lucky to come out with their lives. He said the stuff that was going on day-to-day basis would make your hair curl and would never happen and should never have really happened. Should never have really been filmed where it had been filmed. If you've never seen this, I mean, this cover that 88 did makes it look way better than what it was. The original VHS cover's pretty much a montage of still photographs from the film. You may have seen it. It's on a green background. Michael Dudikoff is really good. And I always enjoyed the films of Dudikoff. And then you add the other sort of experienced actors in with it, and it turns out a really fun time. I mean, Donald Pleasance can be as good or as campy as you want him to be. And in this, he's really good camp. His acting's phenomenal, but he's as campy as hell in it. Robert Vaughn's exactly the same. You know what you get with Robert Vaughn. He's B-movie gold. And it all lends itself to a good 93-minute film. Again, this is put out by 88. It's a nice little release. It can be picked up nice and cheap. If you've never seen it, I would say run out, go pick up a copy of River of Death. You won't be disappointed by it.
Let's check that out. I don't think I've seen that one.
I haven't seen that one. No, I haven't. Interesting.
All right. So one thing I forgot to mention about the Rambo pick the last time, this has always kind of bothered me since I've seen like the posters and even the 4K cover. So he's posing with what's supposed to be an M60 machine gun, which he gets off the helicopter at the end of the movie, shoots up Murdoch's base. But look how they put a grenade at the end of it.
Yeah.
So like they kind of merged a grenade launcher with the machine gun.
Yeah.
That just, I mean, if you know firearms, I mean,
it's not even like a grenade attachment. It's like the head of a rocket for a rocket launcher that they melded to it. It makes no sense.
So the artist, whoever drew that, I don't think they've ever seen a firearm before.
But either way, it would be cool.
Yeah.
Do that.
And speaking of big guns, this was my intro to Arnold back in, I want to say I watched this in the mid 90s. This movie had already been out since the 80s. This one kind of goes into different realms of sci-fi, action, and horror, and that would be 1987's Predator.
Yes.
This movie, I mean, I keep thinking this should be my number one, but I have another number one that, it still holds a place in my heart. But this was my second intro. This is my second movie I've ever seen about Arnold. The first one I ever seen with Arnold as a kid was Jingle All the Way. I always loved it. And then I was introduced to Predator. And then, of course, Terminator after that. But this one, I mean, this is like, I think physique-wise, this is Arnold at his peak, where he was probably at the biggest he'll ever be. And then late 80s, early 90s, you could tell he was starting to lose size as he was getting less into bodybuilding and more into acting. So this was directed by John McTiernan, who also directed Die Hard, which I'm sure is on one of your lists. We won't spoil anything.
We'll see.
But yeah, the cast in this is absolutely fantastic. Like the chemistry between all the guys on the Commando Squad. I mean, you got Arnold, you got Carl Weathers, who plays Dylan, Shane Black, who plays Hawkins. Who else? Bill Duke, another Commando guy from there.
Jesse Ventura's.
Jesse Ventura, yep, who plays Blaine. He's got the cowboy hat on. He's got a minigun that's like a helicopter attachment.
Fucking Sidewinder.
Totally
Oh my
realistic.
god! But yeah, the group of guys in this movie. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that when you see the chemistry that they have. So
They all have
basically,
quirks too. They all have little quirks to them. Like Bill Duke is always shaving.
Oh, yeah, he's
dry
always been
shaving.
yeah.
Blaine's always chewing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them dips.
Hawkins is always reading comic books with his
Yeah.
big glasses.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically they're called into a mission along with Carl Weathers' character. So right from the beginning, it's already established that Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers already had a past from other things. That part where they go in, you son of a bitch, and they go, bam! They're all
Dylan.
they're just,
Yeah.
like, massive.
Fucking
They're oily,
massive.
but yeah, they get tasked to go into the South American jungle to rescue like a foreign cabinet minister who's been captured by a bunch of gorillas. They don't really tell you what country it is. I'm gonna guess maybe it was probably meant to be Colombia. They don't ever say what it is though.
Whatever it is, it makes Cambodia look like Kansas.
Yeah.
But they're in the South American jungle and they're trying to rescue these guys from the gorillas. And in the process, they end up finding a helicopter that was shot down by something. Inside the helicopter, they see 3 skinned bodies. And they realize that these guys were called in before they were. So in their mind, they're thinking that the gorillas shot this helicopter down and skinned these guys. So right away, and Schwarzenegger, he already knows one of the guys, Jim Hopper, I think the guy's name was. He sees a dog tag.
Yeah.
So Schwarzenegger served with him before. So right away, they're like, all right, we got to take the gorillas out. They did this to our guys. We're going to get payback. So there's just an action scene of just them literally infiltrating this gorilla camp. And Schwarzenegger, I like how he picks up the truck, right? He just deadly, he shrugs the truck up that's like generating the power, and he just attaches a bomb to it. And the truck just goes speeding into the camp and blows up.
And Jesse
Infiltrate.
Ventura, what the fuck? He's got the best line.
Infiltrate's a good word to use for a whole crew of guys just walking into a camp and blasting everybody away. It was real tactical and real stealthy like.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
blow up everything in broad daylight, mind you. It's just
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
So this movie, the first half of this movie starts out as a straight up war action movie. No mention of any alien creatures whatsoever. Although there's a scene in the beginning where you see the spaceship,
Yeah.
like the spaceship lands on Earth. You're like, what is that? But
Yeah.
you don't know what the Predator looks like, obviously. But yeah, there's that firefight with the gorillas. They take out everybody except for that one girl who they end up holding hostage. After they've killed the entire gorilla camp, they realize that they were set up by Carl Weathers' character for some other mission that he had in mind. I think he said it was something that like they were trying to prevent a Soviet invasion that was about to happen. I think that was, if I remember correctly, that's
The
part
mission
of,
was to kill those gorillas and get the intel from
Yes.
that camp. That was what it was.
Yeah, but they realized that they were set up. Now they're stuck there until they can get extracted out. But now it switches from an action movie to a sci-fi horror slasher kind of. Because
Yeah.
now this is where the Predator comes into play, and he starts taking off people, like, taking them out one by one, like a slasher movie. Set in a jungle. Hawkins is the first guy to get it. And that girl Anna, she escapes, and Hawkins tracks her down. And then he just turns around and you just see like this invisible looking thing, just slashes him with those blades. And then she gets covered in blood. And you see the silhouette of the Predator still invisible. It drags Hawkins into the woods. They come back and they find her covered in blood. They're like, what did you do to him? And they realize she didn't do it. They go back in the woods. They see just a pile of guts. So he's gone. Hawkins has disappeared. Later, you see Hawkins, his body's there all skinned. So then you realize, all right, they're up against something a little different here. So after that, I think who was the next guy to get it? Was it Blaine? Yeah, Blaine's the next guy.
Yeah.
So they think that the guerrillas, put a hit on Hawkins, and next you see Blaine, he's getting ready, and then he's like, all right, you fuckers, or something like that. He gets his big machine gun ready to go. And then you see a porcupine walk out. And then all of a sudden, like, he just gets blasted from behind. Like, his whole torso just gets a hole blown through it.
Yeah.
And Mac sees it. So Mac sees that happen. He goes down. Mac looks up and he sees the silhouette of the Predator. And the Predator's eyes just flash yellow. So Mac's the first guy to see what it looks like. Mac starts firing at the Predator. The Predator's running away. You can see that he hit the Predator at least once because it has that the blood that it leaves on the leaf.
Yeah, the green blood.
It's like a highlighter fluid.
Yeah.
So after his gun runs out of ammo, dude, he just picks up that machine gun from Blaine and just starts mowing the jungle down. And then all the guys come in. Everyone joins in. And they just start firing at the jungle. The whole it's like a 2-minute scene of just them blowing shit up, firing at whatever they just saw. That part just itself of them mowing the jungle down that's cinema gold right there. But yeah, so you see that Blaine gets taken out, so they realize they're up against something. It takes out Blaine, and then it takes out who's the other guy? Billy. I think Billy was the next guy to get it.
Billy's the one that goes back to sort of like sacrifice himself.
Yeah, Billy.
Billy doesn't think he's sacrificing himself. Billy's just like, all right, bitch.
Take the Predator out by himself.
I'll handle it, boys.
Yeah, but the movie kind of cuts. You don't see what the Predator looks like until like the very third act of the movie. You see like certain shots of it. Like you see like the Predator where he's got his own little repair kit. He's repairing his leg when Max shot him.
Yeah.
So you can see that he's like really advanced in like alien technology and stuff like that. You see that he's collecting the skulls of everything that he kills. So you realize that this alien is like a sports hunter. He's just killing for sport. And fun fact, the Predator only kills people that are armed. Right? That's why he didn't kill the girl, because she wasn't armed.
He only kills the elite. It's the people that are actually challenged to him. Like, he didn't kill any of the guerrillas. He killed the elite special forces hopper crew, from earlier. So it's just Arnold thinks that's because they're armed. It's because no, they're game that he would be interested in.
Yeah. Another shot that's very iconic is when Carl Weathers starts firing at the Predator, and the Predator has that laser cannon on his shoulder, shoots the laser cannon at Carl Weathers. Bam, hits him in the arm. His arm severs. The gun is still firing on the ground.
Yeah.
He comes up. The Predator guts him with that blade on his arm. It's just they just keep getting taken out just so viciously one by one, up to the point where the famous line, "Get to the chopper." Such an iconic line where she runs and goes to the chopper. He's left on his own. Arnold's left on his own one on one against the Predator. Predator jumps in. I'm sorry. Arnold goes down the waterfall. He gets covered in mud. The Predator finally reveals himself because the Predator jumps in the water and his cloaking device gets messed up. So the Predator has to reveal himself. And you see it's just this big 6'9", like humanoid looking alien with like a steel mask on. It's got like dreadlocks and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool looking. But he realizes he has to outsmart the Predator. He puts the mud all over himself. The Predator can't see, so it just turns into like a cat and mouse game between the two of them. So the third act of the movie is Arnold setting up traps for the Predator to try to kill it. The final reveal of the movie when he thinks that he outsmarted the Predator, the Predator finally gets him, and just like any other horror movie, the villain unmasks himself.
Yeah.
So the Predator does that thing, just like he takes the things out, all the steam's coming out. He just lifts his mask up, and you're like, whoa. He's got like mandibles and stuff. I don't know what they were going for with that look, but it's a cool looking alien for sure.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw it, there was like a jump scare when the Predator puts his arms out and growls at him. I'm like, whoa, But he goes hand to hand with the Predator. Ultimately defeats the Predator, and the Predator's kind of like a coward because every time you defeat a Predator, the Predator has a bomb that they destruct. So the Predator can't lose with honor. Predator hits the bomb, blows up the entire jungle. Arnold still makes it out. I know he outruns that blast somehow.
Yeah.
And, little fun fact is that the helicopter pilot at the end of the movie, that's Kevin Peter Hall, who plays the Predator. He was like a 6'9" guy. If you've ever watched any of the documentaries on Predator, they originally hired Van Damme to be the original Predator.
Right.
You know, he came to the U.S. thinking that he was going to be, you know, like battling Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie. Come to find out, he's just playing a creature in a suit. So he couldn't show off any of his martial arts or anything like that. And the original design of the Predator almost looked kind of like a giant praying mantis or something like that.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Bizarre looking.
Terrible.
And even John McTiernan was like, oh my God, we're going to get shut down. So luckily enough, they had Stan Winston, you know, kind of redesign the look of the Predator. And, you know, they came up with that look with the mask and more humanoid and then the dreadlocks and everything, all the weapons that the Predator has. So, Stan Winston, I mean, he played a big part in like saving that movie because once they switched the design of the Predator, they could keep moving forward with it. But you can see online, there's like stock photos of Van Damme in the Predator outfit. It's just so weird looking. It looks like a giant insect.
Yeah, it looks really bad.
Yeah. But like I said, this movie falls into different genres of like action, sci-fi, horror. I mean, it's got everything you'd want in an 80s action movie. Definitely my favorite Arnold movie. I know there's a lot of bangers that he did, but Predator was the one that I would always go back and rewatch. I think that's personally his best. Like I said, his physique was at his peak in this movie. A lot of good one-liners in Predator. Spawned what? 4 sequels and a prequel. You got Predator 2 with Danny Glover. You got Predators. Came out in like 2010.
Requiem.
Predator, which was a horrible movie, by the way.
Terrible.
Predator.
Terrible.
And then you just got the prequel that came out, which is coming to 4K in a couple of weeks, or I guess a month. Prey, which is a prequel to Predator. Then you got the spin-offs. You got Alien versus Predator. You have Alien
crossovers.
Requiem.
Yeah, Requiem's really bad. Like, really bad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so there's a whole franchise of Predator. It would have been cool to have Arnold come back for Predator 2 or any of the sequels, but you know, Arnold's such a big star. He can do pretty much whatever he wanted at the time.
Like Junior.
Yeah, Junior. Goddamn awful film.
Finding a copy of this on 4K with the slip is becoming so scarce. Like I had to get this day one. So this slip is very hard to find. You can still get the movie by itself without the slip, or you can get it in that 3 or 4 pack they came out with on 4K. The only ones of Predator that you can get the slip is you can get Predator, The Predator, and then now Prey is coming with a slip as well. So for you slipcover lovers out there. But yeah, guys, if you haven't seen Predator, I mean, give it a chance. It really is, you know, one of the best 80s action movies that falls in multiple genres. Every time I watch it, I mean, I can't turn it off. No matter what part of the movie that's on, I will watch it from start to finish.
Yeah.
So check out Predator, man. It really is a banger of a movie. I hope it's on someone else's list too, because it deserves to be on almost everybody's list. So yeah, Predator, 1987.
Yep.
Great film. Great film.
I love that part where he like knifes the guy to the wall and he says, "Stick around."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, Craig, me and you have got so much to talk about later. So much to talk about. We'll talk later.
Okay.
All right. My number, what is this? 3?
Yeah.
Number 3. Straight Out of Hong Kong. Story of Ricky.
Oh, nice.
Hey, nice.
1991. Takes place and shot in Hong Kong. This is a Cat 3. I talked about this movie before. I'll try not to go too long on it because I brought it up on the prison movie stream. The movie follows Ricky, who's given a 10-year prison sentence for manslaughter after killing his attacker, who shot him numerous times and shot his wife to death. He caves his skull in with one punch. He literally leaves a fucking dent in his head. So he has like unexplained superhuman strength. It never ever explains it. And of course he goes to prison for 10 years for his, for manslaughter for some reason. he punches straight through walls, people, skulls. One guy throws a punch at Ricky, he throws a punch back, and their fists collide, and his whole arm explodes. It's that kind of movie. You can pretty much tell from the cover here what you're in for. He's knocking off some dude's skull right there. It's a pretty cool 88 Films release. I got to thank Johnny for he had an extra copy of this. I was just going to get the standard. He ended up letting me buy the deluxe off of him. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about it. It's just his odyssey going through prison. It's obviously a corrupt prison system, and he's got to take down they try to kill him a bunch of different ways. Right here, you can see they're trying to bury him alive. None of it works. They crucify him at one point. Like I said, the insane gore, the insane violence that's in this movie. It stops. It starts. It never stops. Like I said, that's pretty much all I got to say about it. It's just his path of redemption. And if you haven't seen this movie, I definitely recommend it. But the ending, I'll spoil it. There's no reason not to spoil it, because at the end he just punches his way out of the fucking prison. He's knocking down prison walls and shit. I don't know. Why didn't you do that from the beginning? I don't know, but this is definitely turn your brain off.
That's a good point.
Definitely turn your brain off and just watch it, man. This is one of my favorite Cat 3s, and like I said, it's almost like a video game. He has just multiple boss battles all the way to the warden. He rips the dude's guts out and strangles him with it. It's that kind of movie. Just crazy, ridiculous Cat 3 gore. It's just a blast. And, yeah. Ricky, you can get the standard 88 Films release, pretty reasonable. I think the limited edition's gone. But I don't think this plays all region. I think it's strictly region B. So if you're not region B, just try and stream it. I don't know if you're into this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's my number 3.
Hell of a pick, man.
Cool.
What you got there, Reed?
Wow. Well, Craig's been picking bangers all day, so I guess this is the first duplicate we got. This is my favorite Michael Bay film as well. I was kind of going back and forth between this and Bad Boys 2, but I definitely enjoy The Rock a little bit more. I'm not going to rehash everything because I know Craig pretty much summed it up pretty well. But that scene in the shower scene where they get surrounded from Ed Helms guys at the top is just freaking super intense and crazy. And like you said, them shouting back and forth, kind of going back and forth about what Marines are and what they do is crazy. And then that brick drops and then all hell breaks loose and they just unload on each other. Just, I guess, a couple other scenes I'll mention. Obviously, the car chase scene in San Francisco with the Hummer and Ferrari is iconic. And that whole scene starts with Sean Connery hanging Nicolas Cage's boss over that hotel building. And then he straps him to the chair, and then he makes his escape. I love that part. At the end of the chase, hits a freaking Sanford trolley car, I think it is, and just a huge explosion. But yeah, it's kind of funny just seeing him drive around in that Hummer, literally just obliterating cars, driving over them, driving through them, just doing everything, and there's not a scratch on it. They are built like a rock, I guess, at least back in the day. Another great scene I like is that Tony Todd scene where he gets shot out of the window by the missile itself. I think
you are the Rocket Man.
Yeah. Do you like Rocket Man by Elton John? And he's like, no, I don't like that soft shit. And he's like, well, you are Rocket Man. Yeah, that scene's great. Obviously, the scene at the final fight scene where he shoves the chemical ball in his mouth and uppercuts him is great. But I always remember, I think it was in pretty much every trailer, but at the very end where he's holding up the two green, can't even think what
the flares.
Yeah, the green flares and the jets going over, and it's like they still bomb it anyway. It's just freaking crazy. But yeah, The Rock. Now, don't know what else much to say. Craig pretty much summed it up, but this movie is just action-packed from start to finish. And again, it's just another movie I can put on anytime and enjoy it. I love it. Wish you would kind of go back. I know a lot of people like Transformers and the other movies, but nothing quite compares to this, in my opinion, for Michael Bay. But Hans Zimmer doing the score, the iconic soundtrack for this, just that typical song. Yeah, I'd love to see a 4K of this, and hopefully with the new Disney announcements, we'll get it. So yeah, The Rock's my number 3.
Great pick.
Great flick.
It is a great flick. Number 2 Michael Bay movie.
You have to say it every time.
Yeah, head's about to explode over here. Don't get me wrong. I love the fucking Rock. Don't get me wrong.
This is what he's really saying. If Armageddon is not on everybody's list,
Fuck you.
we're gonna have
Armageddon's not
a
on my list. I got to sit right here beside because I thought about it. But I said, no, I'm not gonna fucking bring it up. I brought it up 9 times already. So I wasn't gonna do this. I got some alternates laying here. I was gonna switch out, but I know we're gonna do a part 2 to this at some point. So I don't want to waste a lot of my alternates, whatever, doing that. So there's gonna be some crossover here. And Craig, that's what I'm talking about. You're killing me, dude. You're killing me.
Yes.
So Rambo 2. I took a lot of notes on this here. This is one of my favorite movies of all times. So I got a lot of notes. I still got a lot to talk about here. You covered most of it. So I'm gonna try to skip over all the good stuff you talked about. Just talk about some other stuff. But first off, look at this fucking Steelbook, man. I love this. This is one of my favorite box sets.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Man, it's just fantastic, man. It's such a great looking release, man. One of my favorite things I got in my collection. Movie came out in 1985. It was directed by George P. Cosmatos. I'm talking about a great filmography. Leviathan, Cobra, Tombstone, Of Unknown Origin. I mean, it's just he's done some great stuff. So I'm just going to go over my notes. Like I said, Craig pretty much hit all the high spots. We already talked about James Cameron stuff. I'll skip over that. You got Sylvester Stallone, obviously as Rambo. Richard Crenna, which I always enjoy these movies, as Colonel Troutman. Charles Napier, going again about the asshole, the asshole, better the movie. Charles Napier, cocksucker in this. He's Murdoch. Stephen Burkoff played Petoskey, which was the Russian leader. He also played the asshole Victor Maitland in Beverly Hills Cop the year before, 1984. He was also an asshole in that, really good. You have Martin Coe from Karate Kid playing Erickson. Kreese from Karate Kid. To prepare for this role, Sylvester Stallone did 8 months of training for 4 hours a day. I'm about to lose my voice, y'all. I'm very sorry. He also took SWAT, combat, archery, and survival courses. Now this is interesting. If you guys didn't know this, Stephen Burkoff, who plays the main villain in the film, like I said earlier, Colonel Petoskey, also played the main villain a year earlier in Beverly Hills Cop, 1984, a film that was originally developed with Sylvester Stallone in the lead role. So Sylvester Stallone was originally looked at to play Beverly Hills Cop.
Right.
Stallone's version of Beverly Hills Cop was subsequently reworked to become the film Cobra. See, the same director here. So basically, his version of Beverly Hills Cop turned out to be Cobra. So that's kind of interesting. And Cobra was Stallone's follow-up collaboration with director George P. Cosmatos after this film. At the time of filming, there was still close to 2,500 Vietnam veterans still missing in action, which is crazy. The film is dedicated to stuntman Cliff Winger Jr., who was accidentally killed as one of the film's explosions. Dolph Lundgren was initially signed as the Russian lieutenant, Colonel Petoskey. When Sylvester Stallone realized that it was the same man who was going to be in the Rocky IV, so they paid off his contract. So he never got the part, obviously. Charles Napier recalled that people would often tell him, "I hated you so much in Rambo 2." They see him on the streets. The only film in the series to be nominated for an Oscar, which is kind of crazy. Can't believe the first one wasn't. Despite all of his anti-government stance, President Ronald Reagan was a big fan of the film. I don't give a shit about that. But like I said, I got a bunch of other shit. I got pages here. But like I said, the movie's fucking fantastic. It's a 100% action film. It's a 100% action film, and it holds up. I mean, it is campy a little bit. You know, it is a little cheesy. It's over the top. But if you're a Stallone fan, if you're into shit like this, you can't get much better than this here. It is what it is. It's a fantastic movie. It holds up. It's fun. It's one of my favorites. So like I said, Craig, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I figured somebody was going to probably pick 2006.
Yeah.
I was hoping this was going to fly under the radar. This was originally my number 2, by the way. I had to do a little reworking here. So he kind of messed me up a little bit. But like I said, that's my number 2. Or my number 3, I'm sorry. Yes, it's bad to host a damn live stream and you're about to lose your voice. That's not a good sign. We're gonna get through it. All right, let's read the chat here. That's where we left off at. Chris says, "Isn't Donald Pleasance in River of Death?"
Yep.
Yeah,
Chris says, "I need to get River of Death. Should be right up my alley.
definitely.
Check it out." Gizmo
Lifting them up
says,
there. Definitely you need it. It's everyone. You need it.
Speed is a masterpiece, and River of Death is not a masterpiece, but so damn fun. Every subgenre in one flick. Cindy says my number 3 movie is 48 Hours. Yeah, man, that's
Great film.
great
Great
movie.
film.
Yeah, I watched that movie way too young. Me and my brother seen it in theaters. So I'd have been 11 then. Way too young to see that movie. Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte, directed by Walter Hill. Anything can happen in 48 hours. Yeah, it's such a good movie.
So good.
Wild Runners. So my number 3 is Assault on Precinct 13 from 76.
Great film.
Chris has seen the remake, but not the original. I have it from Scream Factory. Never saw the remake. Yeah, good film, Chris. UB's fave film, I think. Uncle Bill's favorite film, I think. Texas says it's a great film. Great choice, Wrangler. Chris says, love Predator. I agree. Next to T2, it's Arnold's best role. Yeah, Old Painless is waiting. Here comes all the one-liners. Dylan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to say it like I ain't gonna say it like Arnold because I'm terrible. But Dylan, you son of a bitch. But I want to. It's hard not to say that and not say it like Arnold.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
There you go.
Dylan, you
You
son of a bitch.
I ain't got time to bleed. Y'all fucking me up with these quotes, man. I want to watch the movie now.
You're bleeding, man.
Ain't got time to
They're dug in like an Alabama tick.
Yeah.
There's something hunting us. I ain't no man.
Spread this
Fat.
on your
You need to go on keto, man. I ain't got time for keto.
Carweather's severed arm on the ground, still firing his rifle is the greatest thing ever. Yeah, man. That's
awesome.
a cool one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris says, hell yes, Dell, I agree with that. If it bleeds, we can kill it. And I love it whenever they first find the skin bodies, you know, and you got Billy out there trying to, you know, doing his tracking shit. And he's coming back. He's like, it just don't make any sense. You know, I love all that shit. We keep coming back
in all directions.
I like how Billy, if anyone ever noticed, Billy has a shotgun mounted to his M16.
Yeah.
Underneath, there's a shotgun.
Yeah.
Cool looking.
Just in case. What's got Billy so spooked? Or fuck it. After this, we're gonna do a live watch along with Predator. Fuck it.
Yeah.
So I hope someone has Shogun Assassin, Hard Boiled, A Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Armor of God, The Drunken Master, and Enter the Dragon or Leon.
Hard Boiled is a fantastic film. Fantastic. If no one's ever seen Hard Boiled, it's a John Woo film. It's amazing.
Yeah, Gizmo was telling me about Hard Boiled, A Better Tomorrow, and The Killer. And he asked me to watch them before the stream, but I didn't have time. But I'm definitely going to check those out. Get to the crap out.
Yeah.
Text the Gizmo. Love Shogun Assassin. I have a lot of P&Es you mentioned. All right, it says I have Shogun Assassin. Haven't watched it yet.
That's a good one.
Good one. Great film.
And Trini said my most prized possession is that Predator bus. Love it. Yeah, man, I want one of those so bad. But Monica says, like the one you saw in Ecuador's traffic light.
Okay, I'll tell you about that real quick. So, Pops, if you look on my Facebook, I did post a picture of the Predator a couple weeks ago. So I'm in Ecuador, and we're stopped at a traffic light, and they always tell you, like, don't pull your phones out in traffic because people will try to rob you. So we're at a traffic light, and then 3 people come into the middle of the traffic. They start walking through the cars. One guy's dressed as Iron Man. The other guy's dressed as Spider-Man. The third guy's dressed as the Predator in a full Predator suit.
I've seen that picture. I've seen the Predator picture.
So I got to take my phone out to take a picture of the Predator, and the picture snaps just as the guy turns and looks at me. So as soon as I took the picture, they see my phone. They start banging on the windows going, hey, because they wanted money because I took pictures of them. We told you not to take your phone out.
Nice.
Yeah, we drove away.
Awesome.
That's funny. Texas Chris, did you get the Lone Wolf and Cub box set? Good set. I've seen the first movie out of that.
Mm.
I love Predators. It's underrated. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. I don't like the nose guy, whatever, is Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody. Yeah, he's not quite believable in the role.
Yeah.
He's not, but I mean, there's so much other things in the movie that I enjoy. I still like it. I mean, it's not my favorite by
The
that means.
whole
It's
crew,
Predator,
there's a
Predator
reason
2.
they
but-
brought a whole crew in there because they knew he couldn't carry it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops, can you make me full screen real quick? I got a picture of the traffic. Here it is,
Well,
right
let
here.
me take the comment down.
The guy's
Nice.
in a full Predator outfit.
That's awesome.
I know.
Something to see in Vegas.
Yeah, like it is something you would see in Vegas. Yeah.
On
That's
the
pretty
strip.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't something you see every day. All right. Yep. Say they ain't got the Lone Wolf and Cub yet. Maybe the next sale. Magic Hands. What's up, everybody? What's up, man?
Hey, man.
What's up?
Sean Blue. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, Sean?
Sean.
Sean.
Appreciate you being here. Trey says Ricky O, no over the top fun, poor doggy wolf. Caveman's here. What's up, Caveman?
What's up?
Hey,
What's up,
everybody.
Hey, come on.
Bunch of Hayes the Caveman, skipping over some of those. Wild Wrangler says body count rising. Chris said The Rock was Don Simpson's first film too, right?
Last.
His last film. Yeah, he actually died from a drug overdose or heart problems from drugs, whatever. And they dedicated The Rock to him because he died during filming. So that's the last movie you see the Don Simpson and what's his
Gary
name?
Bruckheimer.
Bruckheimer, yeah. It was funny is Bruckheimer was about to leave him anyway because of his drug abuse, and he ended up dying during that movie.
Really?
So yeah, he was already having problems with him doing drugs so much. Brian goes blue. What's up, man? Hey guys, this is one
Hello, Brian.
hell of an action-packed group of gents. Great seeing you again, Spicoli.
Yep.
What's going on, Brian?
Thanks, Brian.
Let's say hey to Brian. Bunch of Hayes. Brian says, I'm fine, and I love my Rambo 4K slips, but those are cool steel books.
That's a nice
The
set.
slips are fantastic, too. Yeah, body count, Sean and Caveman said hey to them. Caveman says, Brad, what was the name of the movie you held up? I don't read Japanese.
It's called the story of Ricky O. But yeah, Story of Ricky. Just IMDb Story of Ricky. It'll come up.
It's a fun-ass movie.
It's crazy as hell.
What label put that out?
88
that
films.
80?
88 films.
Yeah.
Listen, probably not your thing, Reed. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna tell you. He puts a man into a commercial. He turns a man into a commercial, like into hamburger, essentially. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah.
But stream it, maybe.
For sure.
Miss Caveman, how's everyone doing tonight? Appreciate you being here.
Hey.
Oh,
Alex says, you just referred to Adrian
Yes, I
Brody
did.
as the nose guy.
Yep.
and you know,
Everyone-
got it. Everyone
Yeah, I was
got
like,
it.
everyone knew what you were talking about.
That was great. What's going on, Jamie?
So, Jamie,
Hello, Jamie.
It says, my dog Mindy farted and ran away. I actually miss having a cat. It didn't smell as much of. Okay. All right. We are caught up with the chat and we are on to our number 2 here. Moving right along. What kind of goodness do you got for us there, Tony?
another winner.
Oh, yeah. So what we're going to do now, we're going to have a bit of panel participation. So you all ready? Right, here we go. What do all these have in common? Time travel, mad scientists, androids, sexy women, ninjas, hunters. What do all they have in common?
What was the last one?
Hunters.
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 What do they all have in common?
Cyborg.
Anybody? Anybody?
Is it Cyborg?
They've actually got fuck all in common, but they're all in this film. So this is 1986. Eliminators. This is a Charles Band film. This is Empire Pictures. This is right up my alley. This is fucking where it is at for me. If you've never seen this film, it's the most bizarre, over-the-top, crazy 90 minutes you'll ever see. Basic setup of the film, basic premise of the film is about this character here in the middle. He's called Mandroid, and he's half man. Well, he's sort of like half man, quarter of a robot, quarter of a tank.
Sure.
He is made by the mad scientist. The mad scientist then sends him back in time to get a Roman centurion shield to bring it back to the present. To give him the centurion shield, and once he's done this time travel, the whole premise is the mad scientist is going to then take Mandroid apart and dismantle him. But Mandroid doesn't want to be dismantled, so he decides he's going to try and escape. But why he tries to escape, he comes across a sexy lady that's just classified as a sexy lady, and she teams up with him. And also a mystical ninja appears from somewhere, and he joins his ragtag crew as well. He's over on this side. And then while they're all trying to escape, a hunter who has a boat, he comes in, and they all go on the boat. And the story goes one way, whereas Mandroid's trying to escape. But then they decide to change that, and then they decide that they're all going to go back as a team and kill the mad scientist, so we can't go back in time again. It's one of the craziest, most batshit crazy films you'll ever watch. It's typical Empire Pictures. It's typical Charles Band. It's bagged loads of fun. It's one of those popcorn flicks. Sit down, disengage your brain, have a few beers, throw some food on, and watch it with some friends. You'll really, really enjoy it. The cast in this was unlike Empire Pictures, where they tended to use a lot of the same actors. This was quite different. They just brought people in, low budget actors. Patrick Reynolds, who plays Mandroid, the only other thing I'd ever seen him in was Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Andrew Preen, who's in this, who plays the hunter character, he was in The Town That Dreaded Sundown, and he was in Grizzly as well. Grizzly's a great film. That's one I really enjoy. Denise Crosby's in this as well. She plays like the sexy woman kind of character. She was in Pet Sematary and Dolly Dearest. It's not the best lineup of actors you'll ever see, but it is loads and loads of fun. This had a cinema run. This had a box office release. And in typical Charles Band style, it was probably made for about £50, but did quite well. It took 4.5 million at the box office. It's over the top. It's crazy. Again, Patrick Reynolds, who plays Mandroid, the suit he was in was that unstable and that dangerous that one piece in this, where you see him come down a flight of stairs, the front of the suit was too heavy, and the actual suit came over the top of him, and he came down around 10, 12 foot of flight of stairs with the actual machine. Now, the machine was remote control operated. These were proper tracks, like tank tracks that he was sat on, and some guy was operating it while he was sat inside it, and the whole thing came over the top of him and crushed him. He was quite lucky that he didn't die in the suit. Again, this is another 88 release. If you've never seen this before, and you like the films of Charles Band, if you like the Full Moon stuff, if you like the Empire Pictures stuff, I would suggest check it out. It is bagged loads of fun. You will enjoy it, but it is ludicrously crazy. The only other thing that I could put it sort of towards, if you've ever seen the film Raw Force, very, very similar to Raw Force. I think Vinegar Syndrome put that out a couple of years back. Similar kind of film, similar kind of fun. Eliminators.
You're starting to get a sense of why Tony is confined at his home by the state. He's not allowed to leave. That just seems like a Tony film. I've never seen that movie, but just in the cover art alone, I would go, Tony loves this.
Awesome.
Great pick, man. I think.
So, kind of reverting back to my last pick. I forgot to mention something about Predator, and I think Pops, you'll get a kick out of this. So the gun that Arnold uses in this movie is the same prop gun that Al Pacino uses in Scarface. Just figured
Nice.
Not just the same model; it's the exact
It's the
same
exact
gun.
same
and
prop
the
gun.
same
Oh, that's pretty cool. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
And I have one too. I actually have a retro gun just like it. Took
Nice.
and Brad knows my love for movie guns. He's seen them before, but I actually I went out and bought an AR-15, just a regular semi-auto AR-15, and I took a 37 millimeter flare launcher that mimics the grenade launchers. It's the exact it mimics the grenade. It looks just like it. It's almost like a clone of it. And I had it mounted.
It's almost like it's the same thing.
It almost is.
Almost.
But I got that cool heat shield with all the holes poked in it. I have everything that is on that gun to make myself a retro AR-15. So, Brad, you didn't get to see it yet, but I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah.
But I was so inspired by Scarface and Predator. I had to have a gun that was a clone of it. So,
yeah.
Fun
You
fact.
need to go to 911. Those 911s are badass.
Yeah, the 911. He did a unboxing for the Cobra doll, and he pulled out the gun, and it's a 1911. And he was like, "It's a 911, right? It's just the 9." He said it like 40 times in the thing, and it's just like.
And I call you and Brad out. So y'all, I know you're going to fuck with me. I know nothing about guns.
Yeah, it's a 1911. It's all
Close
good.
enough.
Pops,
My
you're
4 was 9/11.
forgiven. All right, so my number 2 pick, I think Pops is probably going to get mad at me for this one too. It could be on his list. I know Pops loves this movie. And that is 1987's Lethal Weapon.
Great pick, man.
Yeah, this is my favorite Mel Gibson movie, hands down. There's 4 movies of it in the franchise. There's 2 or 3 TV series, seasons of the TV series. Was there 2 or 3? I don't remember, but there was a TV series that came out a few years ago based on this. But so to kind of give you a background of this movie, this was made in '87 by Richard Donner, who did the Superman movies. Mel Gibson with his classic '80s mullet. You got Danny Glover in this. So basically, the movie's about Mel Gibson is a suicidal cop who ends up getting transferred and paired up with Danny Glover, who is a cop who's been on the force a long time, who's just getting ready to retire. They get paired up and are put as partners. The opening shot of the movie, you see this girl. She's like standing on the top of this like building, and she's got her shirt open and everything like that. And you're like, what is she doing? She just falls from this building and then crashes on a car. So you're like, all right, where is this going? What does this have to do with the plot? Which comes in later. But they get matched up after Mel Gibson. If you remember that one iconic scene from the movie, there's the part where he's trying to buy the cocaine at the Christmas tree farm. He's testing out the cocaine, and he's like, I'll take all of it. And they're like, that's going to cost you $100. So he takes the money out of his wallet. 1, 2, he starts counting 24, 25. They're like, forget it, you dumb shit. 100,000.
Yeah.
But anyway, he reveals that he's a cop, and then a shootout happens, and Mel Gibson ends up getting like taken hostage by the last guy in the tree farm. He's like, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. And then he just headbutts the guy, and then he's about to pull the trigger on him, and he gets stopped. They realize that he's got a problem, that he's like a loose cannon. Gets transferred to Danny Glover's, under him. So they become partners, and they're tasked with figuring out the murder. So they realize that the girl that jumped off the building, she's the daughter of Tom Atkins' character. Tom Atkins is in this movie. He plays a little part. They realized that it wasn't a suicide of her jumping off the building. It was a murder. She was like poisoned, and she ended up jumping off. And they're tasked with finding out who the murderers are and what's tied into why they murdered her. Ends up turning into this big plot where she was involved in like a heroin ring. Tom Atkins was part of bringing the heroin into the to the States. The villains in this movie are Gary Busey and the guy from Halloween 6, Dr. Wynn. I can't think of the guy's name. He's like General McAllister in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember the guy's name, but he's like a character actor. But yeah, like, so it's basically the two of them guys. I mean, they're facing off against these mercenaries. You find out that Danny Glover and Mel Gibson were both Vietnam War vets. They were both very, skilled at what they did in the war. I think Mel Gibson said he was a special forces sniper, and he's starting to realize that the people that they're up against are also former special forces people. So they realize that they're in for a tough time with this group. But yeah, they're basically just they're operatives turned drug dealers. So they're trying to take down these drug dealers. There's a big fight scene at the end of the movie with Gary Busey and Mel Gibson. It's like a hand-to-hand combat fight. Gary Busey, I mean, this is before he got really crazy. This is before
the accident.
Really, really effective villain. I mean, he's at his best in this movie, Gary Busey. He's a really great villain. The death scenes in this are great. The action is great. You got a soundtrack by Eric Clapton, who did the soundtrack for the movie. The movie's got a little bit of a thriller undertone to it as well. It's got some thriller elements. I don't think anything beats the first movie. The second one's pretty good too, but like just the feeling of, straight up action and suspense, you get that out of the first movie. There's that one scene where Mel Gibson is contemplating suicide. He's playing with his pistol, right? He puts the one bullet into the chamber, and it just keeps cutting back and forth between the cartoon he's watching on TV and the really like tense music. Puts the pistol in his mouth. I mean, he's so close to pulling that trigger. But yeah, there are a lot of tense moments in that scene for sure. But yeah, Lethal Weapon's another one of those movies. Like I said, I mean, it's an '80s classic. It's whenever it's on, I can't turn it off. Great Mel Gibson movie. Danny Glover's pretty good in it too, but I think it's Gary Busey at his best before he went all crazy. If I were to rank the franchise, I think 1 and 2 are the best. Didn't care for Lethal Weapon 3. I thought that was one where it had a really weak villain. They kind of went to like the comedy, aspect of that with Joe Pesci and the
leaned into the comedy.
Yeah. So Lethal Weapon 3 was just kind of like a letdown for me, but 4, they brought it back with 4. I thought 4 was a good comeback to, kind of end that franchise.
They made it dark and they put the comedy in too. So
yeah, Jet Li being the villain in that one. But yeah, Lethal Weapon, man, it's just a timeless classic. And it's also kind of like, in addition to Die Hard, it's a Christmas movie. It's shot around Christmas time.
Yeah.
When Gary Busey breaks into the house at the end, he breaks into Murtaugh's house at the end of the movie, and he sees on the TV, you hear the guy on the TV go, "Can you tell me what day it is?" And Gary Busey just shoots the TV and goes, "Goddamn Christmas!"
Yeah.
But yeah,
at the end, Gary Busey gets dealt with by Mel Gibson. What's the maneuver that Mel Gibson uses on Gary Busey?
He gets him some kind of triangle choke or something like that.
Triangle choke. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's just the hand-to-hand combat at the end.
Legitimate triangle choke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's also that tense moment where Murtaugh's daughter is captured by all the mercenaries, and the scene of the girl getting in the limo, and Mel Gibson's like shooting them from afar, sniping them off one by one. She gets in the limo, tries to get away. The helicopter's flying, trying to land on top of the limo to stop her. Just the whole third act of that movie really picks up. Ends up just being such a great thriller at the end. If you haven't seen Lethal Weapon, please, I mean, I'm begging you, give it a watch. I mean, Lethal Weapon is just such a timeless classic. Even Lethal Weapon 2 to go along with it. Both of them are so good. Hasn't been announced for 4K yet, but I hope at least the first one gets a 4K. I know Warner Brothers has been pretty good with putting out their catalog titles on 4K.
Well, I think with 5 coming out, supposedly whatever, I think that all those will get 4Ks lead up to 5. I think. Yeah,
you got that iconic scene with Tom Atkins getting shot from behind with Gary Busey on the helicopter. He's drinking the eggnog and he puts it in front of him. Gary Busey just comes out of nowhere on the helicopter, shoots Tom Atkins, and you just see the bullet goes through the eggnog and the eggnog's leaking everywhere. Just another iconic scene. Pretty cool to see Tom Atkins in that movie. But yeah, fun fact about this is that when this release came out, this is like, it says Best Buy exclusive right there. When this first came out, a lot of people were saying that their copy of Lethal Weapon 2 was actually the movie Swordfish. So these were recalled at one point because like they had the wrong movie on the Lethal Weapon 2 disc. Luckily, I checked Mayan. Mayan is, in fact, Lethal Weapon 2. No Swordfish to be seen whatsoever. But yeah, hopefully these will get put out on 4K. Kind of like Rambo 3. I don't like Lethal Weapon 3. I mean, it's just the weakest to me, in my opinion. But other than that, I mean, yeah, check it out. Lethal Weapon. Classic. Absolute
I
classic.
think me and Sean Blue Digital just became best friends. He's quoting the best fucking Gary Busey line ever from Point Break. Utah, give me 2.
Give me 2.
Yeah, I was just saying that in the chat. But yeah, man, that pretty much started. I don't say it started it, but that really put a big boom into the buddy cop movies. That was one of the first great buddy cop franchises.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had some before that. You had 48 Hours, stuff like that, but that right there was the quintessential buddy cop movie of the 80s. You know, such a great franchise.
Absolutely.
All right, we got what, Brad next?
All right. My picks have been kind of unconventional at this point, and this is a return to form here. I can't believe nobody else has picked this already. A third world dictator decides he's going to nuke all the first world countries at the exact same time to accomplish his globalist agenda, and there's only one force on the planet that can stop it. That's Team America, World Police, 2004. Written and directed by Trey Parker and Matt Stone of South Park fame. Yes, this is listed as an action film, and there is it's all action the entire time. You know, give or take a few musical numbers in it, including the AIDS musical number, which is one of my all-time favorite things in history. Everyone has AIDS. Feel free to unsubscribe now. Basically, what this movie is about, Team America needs to recruit a actor to disguise as a Middle Eastern terrorist to get intel on the globalist terror network plot that they heard about. So they recruit a white male actor and they try to turn him Middle Eastern. It is not a great disguise. Somehow it works. Obviously, this movie is 100% puppets. And again, how could that be good? I don't know. I rewatched this recently. I had a great time with it. I think it holds up really well.
It does.
It does not make any sense why it's so good or why they spent so much fucking money making this thing. This is a very expensive movie, insanely expensive is the words I would use. It's all done well, but there are winks and nods throughout the movie. You know, it being puppets. Like there's this big, like almost Michael Bay like fight about to happen between the puppets, and then instead of having them actually fight like puppet, like you know, a real choreograph, they just pull the two puppets together and they flail. You know, like there at one point there's a big montage. There's several montages in this, but he's like he's doing soul searching. He's riding his motorcycle, and the puppet motorcycle just crashes, and they just left the scene in. You know, it's hilarious. The action is ridiculous and awesome. Every single operation that they attempt to stop terrorism. That's their group. That's what the group is about. It's an elite terrorism fighting organization. Every single attempt to stop terrorism is met by them absolutely. They stop the terrorists, but in the process, they absolutely level whatever thing they're trying to protect. They go to Paris. They end up destroying the entire city, including the Eiffel Tower. They go to Cairo to stop terrorists. They end up destroying the Sphinx and all the pyramids. Everything gets destroyed in their wake, but they do stop the terrorists. Obviously, there's a lot of satire in this. I can understand if Alan's never seen this. These Trey Parker and Matt Stone absolutely despise not only all actors, Hollywood, but especially Michael Bay. They mentioned Michael Bay in this movie. This movie was originally what they pitched was a remake, a shot-for-shot remake of Armageddon. That was their goal. and they just wanted to do it all with puppets, and they weren't going to change a fucking thing. That's how much they hate Michael Bay. That's how bad they think he is. I don't agree with them, but it's still an all-time great. I really, really love this movie. I get into you find yourself watching it, and you're like, it's fucking puppets. But you find yourself watching it like it's a real movie, like they're real things, but it will remind you repeatedly that it is puppets. Like, for instance, they're getting rid of the torture. They lock them in this room. Kim Jong-il is the head of the terrorist group, and he recruits a bunch of actors who think they're doing the right thing. Again, very, very timely. They think that they're on the right side, even though that they actually are terrorists. And they lock these two Team America members in a room, and they say, let's see how you do against Kim Jong-il's Panthers. And they just open the gates, and it's two fucking house cats. It's shit like that. And the house cats end up ripping people apart. Yeah, man, like I said, I know Alan hasn't seen this movie, so I won't go into too many spoilers.
I'm going to have to order it.
But I highly recommend it. Yes, it's an action comedy, but if you look on IMDb, action's first. I don't care. I just had a great time rewatching it, and I put it in the list. So, Team America World Police, check it out.
Yeah, it's a good film.
That's an awesome pick. I didn't even think of that. I should have had that on my list. Going back to Craig picking just bangers, I'm changing my list here, but my original number 2 was Predator. Just a fantastic movie, but he's pretty much covered it very well. So I'm going to go just kind of off the grid here and go with a brand new movie that I've championed since the trailer released. I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times. It came out this year. This is a 90-minute flick that is very simple and to the point. It definitely delivers. And that's going to be Sisu. If you haven't seen this movie yet,
don't spoil it. I have not seen it yet. Don't spoil the ending or anything. I'm waiting for my son to get here next week. We're going to watch it next week. I got that release. My son in Colorado is coming into town. I promised I'd wait for him. So
for sure. Well, I won't spoil too much. It's very simple storyline. Ex-military, pretty much lost everything. He's pretty much done with the war, and he's out there panning for gold. Finds a bunch of gold, and then he's basically heading south in Finland to the nearest city to cash it in when he comes across a bunch of Nazis. They find out he's got gold, and then they're pretty much just trying to kill him to get the gold. And it's just absolutely brutal. You think with all these action movies we've named today, like how could they possibly do anything new and creative? They figured it out. There's some pretty brutal scenes I haven't seen in any other action movie. And I don't want to spoil it for Pops, even though I do want to say what it is, but I won't. Just the whole, if you've seen it, the whole lake scene where he's underwater is the one I'm talking about. I won't go into the details, but yeah, I mean, that's basically the premise of the movie. It's just nonstop action and craziness. The main character, I mean, there's no big names in it that I'm aware of. There might be, but I mean, the main character doesn't say anything till the very end of the movie, and it's like one sentence. But yeah, it's just straight to the point, nonstop action. It probably wouldn't be this high in my list normally, but just on the fly changing it since Predator was already picked. Got to pick Sisu. Great movie.
Yeah,
awesome, man.
It's a great pick.
All right, my number 2. This is another one I'm surprised they ain't already come up by now. Craig's done ruined everything else. It's going to be Terminator 2.
Yep.
I mean, of course, this is going to be on somebody's list, right? I mean, this is one of the greatest action movies ever. I am a little bit bigger fan of Part 1, but if this is an action movie, Part 1's a horror movie, a slasher movie, in my sense. This is one of the greatest action movies ever made, and let's just appreciate how great this steelbook. The movie inside is not that great, not a great release, but it doesn't bother me that much. But this steelbook's fantastic. Directed by James Cameron. Everybody knows about this movie. You got Arnold Schwarzenegger returning as the good Terminator in this movie. Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor, just a fucking iconic role. Edward Furlong playing John Connor, a little cocksucker or whatever, but he does an okay job. He's a worthless human being now, for the most part. Robert Patrick playing the T-1000. I thought it was great casting, absolute great casting. One thing about him, Robert Patrick undertook a rigorous running regimen and practiced breathing through his nose in order to appear to be a cyborg that ran at high speeds without showing fatigue.
And he runs like most of the movie. He's running. That's
Right.
the thing. He really worked hard at that.
It says he had trained so hard that he was able to catch up to Edward Furlong on his dirt bike with ease. Because you notice when he leaving the mall there, he's actually catching him on the fucking motorcycle. That wasn't a special effect or anything. This is the only Terminator film to win or be nominated for an Oscar. It won 4 out of the 6 that it was nominated for.
Yep.
And something else about that. Let me go down my notes a little bit. Where's it at? I said, until The Bourne Ultimatum and Mad Max Fury Road, this was the only sequel to win an Academy Award when the previous installment received no nominations. So, the first movie didn't get anything, which it should have, but it didn't. This was the first film to break the 300 million at the international box office mark. This is interesting. Michael Biehn was the first choice to play the role of the T-1000. And a complete reversal of roles with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was now a hero. However, this idea was abandoned and it was judged to be too confusing for viewers. So, they were going to have a Michael Biehn play the good Terminator or the bad Terminator and come back and go against Arnold Schwarzenegger as a good Terminator, like a role reverser.
It was you got to remember too, it wasn't like, everybody's seen T2 now. Everybody knows Arnold's the good guy, but you're watching the movie for the first time. I think it would have been too confusing watching it the first time. It would have been kind of a mess.
And Robert Patrick, man, he was great. I thought he was perfect casting for that. This is also interesting. Now, y'all think about this for a minute. Given Arnold Schwarzenegger's $15 million salary and his total of 700 words of dialogue, he was paid $21,429 per word. Hasta La Vista Baby cost him $86,716.
Yeah.
So I'm in the wrong line of work. That's crazy. You think about it a lot, though. But yeah, what else can you say about this movie? It's iconic. The special effects at the time. One thing I do want to talk about, whatever, is my theater experience. Me and a buddy of mine that I went to high school with, we were both big Arnold Schwarzenegger fans. We quote Arnold Schwarzenegger, watched all his movies. We skipped school the day this came out, and we went and seen like the first showing in theaters. And he passed away like 2 years ago, but he was my Arnold Schwarzenegger buddy back in the day. And me and him going to see this in theaters was an absolute fucking blast. I don't know how many times I see this in theaters. It had to be 5 or 6 at least. Great theater experience. This is a movie that you definitely, if you ever get a chance, go see it in theaters. I think the special effects, even though they are a little dated now, when they first came out, they were next level shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it blew people away. And I think even now, I could look at it now, like when you see the T-1000 kind of walk out of the fire and the little metal look, it looks kind of dated now.
Yeah.
But when we first seen that, it was next level. My favorite scene in the whole movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger on the motorcycle, Robert Patrick, whatever, the T-1000 and the fucking semi-truck.
Yeah.
Going through that little ravine or whatever the fuck it is. And got the Arnold Schwarzenegger cocking that shotgun. It's one of the coolest
things.
The
LA River. Yeah. The Sarah Connor in the flashback or the flash forward to the future on the fence. That's crazy.
Oh, that part terrified me as a kid.
Yeah. And they did a lot of work, whatever, as far as studying what nuclear bombs actually do. And they did like a miniature to make that shot look as realistic as possible. And based on the data they had, whatever. And so they did put a lot of work into that scene, a lot of money into that scene. And of course, the other note I got here, we already talked about earlier, is the girl from Aliens playing the foster mom.
Yeah.
And this, I didn't know that until recently. It says, according to director James Cameron, Linda Hamilton suffered permanent hearing damage in one ear during the elevator shootout because he did not replace her earplugs after removing them from between takes. So they're in this fucking elevator shooting these fucking guns, whatever. She ain't got her ear protection in.
That'd be horrible.
Kind of crazy. But that's all I got to say about it. I mean, like I said, everybody's seen this movie. Everybody knows everything about it. It's been talked about, seen. Everybody probably seen it 10 times. It's a fucking classic. It's one of the greatest Arnold Schwarzenegger films out there. I love it. It's my number 2. So, and I'm pretty much number 1, so I don't know what to do about that yet. We'll get back to that.
I am probably the only person on planet Earth, and I'll probably get people tuning out now and unsubscribing to me and everything, that really dislikes Terminator 2.
Really?
Yeah, never liked it. Never liked it when it first came out. Do not like it. No, I've tried multiple times with it, and it does nothing for me. I mean nothing on any level.
Oh wow!
And people look at me like I've got three heads, but it just never. It always seemed. The budget always seemed too big on it. It always seemed too far out. Schwarzenegger never really gave the role that he gave in other films. He never seemed believable. It always seemed too cheesy through the entire film for me. And I know he's a cheesy actor, but there was just something about it that was just never right, and it never sat with me.
I get what you're saying,
but Droid Man, what's his name? The tank man. What was that guy in that last movie?
Mandroid.
Mandroid. That's no cheese in that at all.
If you come off the heels of T1, you come off the heels of T1, where it looks like his hair is basically stapled to his skull, and now in T2 he has a perfectly coiffed hairdo. He's essentially a boy's pet robot killer. I get what you're saying. It's such a departure, and it's very polished by comparison to one.
Unbelievably polished.
Well, it's like Terminator goes to Hollywood. But all that being said, there is problems with it. I still think it's a incredible action.
And everybody has terrific love for it. Everyone loves it. Everyone you speak to, whether the cinephiles, whether the part-time film watchers, doesn't matter what it is, everyone loves T2. But for some reason, it just never registered with me. I mean at all on any level.
I can't say I'm just a monster T1 fan. So by comparison,
that's my favorite for sure.
By comparison, it ain't shit to T1, but it's still, to me, it's a fun movie. There's lots of fun, shit in there with the weird gun bunker that they find in the desert, and I love a shout out to Linda Hamilton and her cute little hitman outfit. That she goes to murder a man in a tank top. I totally get what you're saying.
This is what's interesting to me. I love T2, but somebody's saying something about T2, they don't like it. I understand. That's great. I totally appreciate your opinion, and it doesn't bother me a bit. As soon as somebody says something about Armageddon, my ass hair's poked straight out. I don't know why that is.
This is Alan with T2. He's just like, I respect your opinion.
That's
and
good.
Then somebody says Armageddon doesn't seem like those accurate at all. Hey, fuck you, man.
I don't know what it is, but I get volatile, man. I don't know why that is. It's so weird.
I got some problems with the accuracy.
I have no explanation. But yeah, man. I mean, like I said, I appreciate what you're saying. I can see what you're saying, but about T2, whatever. But like I said, I think a lot of it for me is probably the nostalgia factor of how it made me feel the first time I seen it. When I go back and watch it now, whatever, I kind of revisit that a little bit.
It's like this thing. This thing is retarded. This came out when I was the exact right age, the exact right time,
and I think that's got a lot to do with this right here. I'm 18-year-old American boy watching this movie in theaters. It blew me away, man. But
yeah, I mean, I would imagine it was the same in the US, but I remember at the time when it coming out, like every single advert, every single product placement was T2 related, and I mean everything from fast food to drinks to snacks to fucking petrol to didn't matter what it was, everyone was using T2. And then
you had 900 numbers where you could win his jacket, 900 numbers where you could win his motorcycle from the movie. It was all over the fucking place.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And I don't know if it's because it got force fed into society massively. I don't know. It just doesn't register with me, and I don't know why, because everyone loves it.
Yeah,
it's a cultural experience in America.
Maybe maybe it's a whole different set of eyes on it with you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole Guns N' Roses thing with it. You know what I mean?
It leans.
Now we're leading into some territory where I might say something. That's actually a really great part of the movie. When he's carrying the box of roses and he drops the roses and the shotgun comes
out. I love that part.
And the tone of this movie for Guns N' Roses is fantastic.
See, that bit is the one bit that makes me cringe. You know what I mean? Like,
you could be mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Guns N' Roses was a big deal back then. But that's why they turned fucking crazy. But that's my 80s coming out. Where do we leave off at here? All right. Caveman says, Alan, we have not talked about Big Jaw Guy in a while.
Robert Zadar.
That guy's awesome. Taylor Holland. Jamie says, hate everybody. Looks amazing. I'm not sure what he's referring to now. I think he's talking about the Eliminators.
Eliminators.
Chris says, I have no words. Body Count Rising. I think I have Eliminators on VHS. Been forever since I've seen it. I do want to check that out. I think. Body Count Rising says, I was wrong. It's Annihilators.
Oh, Annihilators. Annihilators is a good film. Annihilators is a great film.
You need to watch Eliminators now. Kevin says, so Tony, you were saying that the lead guy in Eliminators was almost eliminated.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
And hey, the Caveman, okay, Miss Caveman. This is, I haven't seen Eliminators, but I love Raw Force. I seen it in theaters back when it came out and own it on Blu-ray.
Yep.
All it says, the 9/11 is dangerous.
Yeah.
I agree, man.
Yeah.
I agree. Did Eliminators have Caveman 2 Masters of the 80s?
It just reminded me of Team America when they go, it's going to be 9/11 times 100. And they call
Times
it
1,000.
9/11 times 100. They read out the number phonetically. And then later, it's 9/11 times 1,000. And then again, they read out the number phonetically.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, my God.
Sydney said, my number 2 movie is From Dusk Till Dawn. Great pick.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Great film.
Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Juliette Lewis, Quentin Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Evil Has Been Unleashed. Yeah. That'd have been a fun one to pull.
Great film.
Chrissy's Lethal Weapon is definitely up there for me too. Love 2 as well. Yeah, I love part 1 probably the best. It is my favorite, but part 2 is damn close for me. Again, good villain, asshole. Whenever fucking Riggs gets fucking all pissed off, he finds out he actually killed his wife. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna fuck him. Just when he has that whole scene, pulls the house down and starts celebrating.
It's the Germans, the gold. Is that part 2? The gold and the Germans?
Yeah, the Kruger ants. Yeah.
Okay, diplomatic.
Oh, it's the
immunity.
master race.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part 2's a lot of fun. Chris says, you want a shot at the title? Yeah. Don't mind if I do.
That's
That's a
a
great fight
classic
scene.
line.
I wish it had lasted a little bit longer. Wish it had been. I wanted that to be a fucking They Live fight. That'd have been great. Lethal Weapon movies, thumbs up. My number 2, Terminator 2.
Strong pick.
Love Lethal Weapon. Gary Busey is great in Silver Bullet.
Yeah, he is.
Yep. Busey is great in a top action movie for me, Point Break.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna let you know the Point Break was gonna be on my list. I did not have a copy of that fucking movie. I used to have a fucking steelbook. I have no idea what happened to it. I had a Blu-ray steelbook I got from Zavi, and I couldn't fucking find it. So stay tuned to part 2. I might be on there. that will be fixed here soon.
Yeah.
It may have already been fixed. We'll talk later. Utah, give me 2. Yeah.
God, it's time for lunch. Angelo, it's 10:30.
It's a 3 seasons of Lethal Weapon. You can get the first 2 seasons cheap at Big Lots. Yeah, they ended up canceling the show because that one dude got in trouble. The guy that played Riggs got in trouble in real life doing something. Chris says, America, F yeah, saw that in theaters. I got to get that movie, man. I'm going to have to go and order it tonight. Check it out. On the Team America, I will sleep with you if you never die. I promise I will never die.
He immediately says, she says that you have to promise that you will never die. Because if you did that, I would sleep with you right now. And he goes, I promise I will never die. Not even a second later.
David says, Damian Wayans calls the end of the Lethal Weapon series basically saying I'm too old for this shit. I know the other guy got in trouble with something, and that's what ended up canceling the show. It's rated R version of the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, Team America.
Wonder This World 97. That's a new name.
It's a UK puppet series, I believe.
Like from the 60s or something, right? Super old.
Tony knows about it. Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds. There was loads from the 60s, 70s, 80s. There was Thunderbirds, Fireball XL5, Terrorhawks, Stingray. There was all Jerry Anderson stuff.
That's right.
All right, Wonder This World 97. Damn it, I missed it. I remember my theater losing its mind at that line.
He's talking about it may be Team America when they're trying to shoot these terrorists and they're just blowing up everything. Every time they shoot,
Damn, I missed.
damn it. You know.
Delta Team America is an inspired choice. Nice.
Thank you.
Skaven says Matt Stone and Trey Parker are equal opportunity offenders. No one is off limits. That's what makes them great.
Yeah. I said that they hate our actors, and they do, but basically every big actor in Hollywood was in the movie. Sam Jackson, Alec Baldwin, Matt Damon, Susan Sarandon, anybody you can think of is in it. Sean Penn, but none of them are in it. It's all of them, you know.
Right.
Matt Damon,
Sean Penn, and, I think Sean Penn and Tim Robbins are guarding them, and they just cut over and they go, "We're guards, we're guards." Just saying to each other like idiots. I don't know. It's great.
So they hate Hollywood and they just hate the industry in general.
Yep.
Nice to have that steelbook with Sisu with the messed up plastic slip.
Yeah, a lot of them got melted.
Del said just saw Sisu at a blast. And Chris, the T2 is a masterpiece. Great choice, Pops. Appreciate it, man. T2, I need that steelbook.
Somewhere Gizmo is lurking around here.
Oh, yeah.
T2 came up.
Well, he's trying to recuperate for what Anthony just said a minute ago.
yeah.
I'm building a fucking letter bomb to send to the UK right now.
Chris said the transfer is not good, Allie. We have never gotten a true 4K transfer of T2. Okay, so there's no love lost between the Damon Wayans and Clayne Crawford. Almost didn't last the first season. According to everyone around and involved, replaced Clay with Sean William Scott, American Pie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was available. He ain't done much. T2's great. Sydney says, Guns N' Roses, You Could Be Mine always sticks in my head when I see the movie. Great song. Del Moose, today totally agree that T1 was a slasher flick. T2 was action. Absolutely.
Yep.
Those morphing effects.
Yep.
Is that still T2 4K Pops? Oh, yes.
Yep.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Arnie. Everybody's got to love Arnie. Oh no, Chris! Don't tell me that the steelbook artwork is beautiful. Which transfer is best?
I didn't give a shit. I didn't give a shit. I didn't care if there was discs in it. I was getting that steelbook.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good one. I love that art too, Allie. Chris says, I just heard the 4K transfer wasn't good, Allie. That's why I didn't get it.
It's not as bad as people say. It's just
it kind of one of the things that kind of build up. It's not great, but it kind of got built up on the internet as being got so terrible. But it's watchable. It's
kind of waxy and
the DNR or whatever, the digital noise reduction.
We definitely had a better transfer of it, but like I said, it's not no reason not to get if you want to still watchable. It's the best we got right now.
Yeah, it's definitely watchable.
Saw T2 in theaters and we were all blown away by the special effects of T1000. I mean, it was cutting edge. It was cutting edge.
Top of the
liquid alloy.
Yeah. Kevin says T2 Robert Patrick after he busted his ass chasing the motorcycle. Can you imagine the look on his face when he's standing there panting and the director says to him, "Okay, run it again slower."
Yeah, right.
Sorry, Pops, for your loss.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Oh, you know, your friend that you saw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, he's a good guy. I mean, we were best friends in high school. I didn't see him for 20 years, and we reconnected, and then 2 years later, he passed away. Like, he was a great guy.
Crusher is devastated here.
How can anyone not like Terminator 2? Wow.
Yeah,
unless you're a countryman, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
I know. Crusher will be unsubscribing me now, remove him from every piece of social media he knows me on.
So as soon as Alan heard that, he just went, "Somebody better talk to him."
Del Moose, Master of the 80s, not liking T2 gets me off the hook for Armageddon.
Yeah.
Del, we need to talk later, buddy.
Not quite.
Talk later. I want to pick your brain on why you don't like. Not online, because it needs to be a one-on-one conversation. Hit me up on Instagram. Just curious. I love the Terminator franchise in general. Yeah. There's not that many other ones I really give a shit about after T2.
I like I said, T1, I'm way up here on T1, and then T2, and then the rest.
That's pretty much me.
Three was poor. We saw 3 at the cinema. That was really poor.
Yeah.
Genesis is really poor.
Genesis is like unintentional comedy.
Yeah.
Real Salvation. It's like
Salvation. The TV show spin-off, that was shit as well.
Yeah. Jamie says, cute little hitman outfit made me split soda out my
Yeah.
nose. Yep. Sydney says, love T1 and T2. Master of the 80s, it would be a boring world if everybody liked the same things, no doubt.
True.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All this shit we're doing here will be boring as hell. If we all got on here and had the same 5 picks, everybody, oh, that's great. Okay, stream over.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be boring. Yeah, I enjoy T2 way more than T1. A lot of people feel that way.
A lot of people feel that way.
Versus when he comes in and Sarah goes like crazy is epic. Yeah. Falls on the ground, kind of crawling backwards. It's a pretty cool shot.
Yes.
And I didn't realize it also that Linda Hamilton's got a twin sister. Her twin was in the movie, I think, on some of the deleted scenes. But you know, because the guy, the cop at the hospital at the vending machine, you know, when he turns around, the heavy set guy with the red hair or whatever, when he turns around and there's a guy standing there just like him. It's the T1000.
Yeah,
but in real life, whatever, that's his identical twin.
Yeah.
So that was an easy shot for them to get in there.
Linda Hamilton's got a twin in that movie too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think most of her scenes were cut out, were deleted, I think.
The only time you ever see Linda Hamilton's twin is when it's a fake out of her acting all injured, trying to get the John, and then you see the real Linda Hamilton behind her with the shotgun.
Yeah.
That's actually the twin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know she had a twin.
Yep. Twin actually died recently too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I was just caveman movies are more who's big jaw guy.
Robert Zadar.
Yeah, look him up, Allie. You ever seen Tango and Cash? He's the asshole in jail in Tango and Cash.
Maniac Cop, yeah.
He broke my ripped my leg and my jaw. You know, and somebody points to his face, but there's nothing wrong with his face. His face
broke that? You broke that jaw?
Captain Dynaball is what they were calling him. Allie, I saw your haul on Instagram, Sweet Steelbooks. Kevin says, no, Dale, I wasn't in Eliminators. Thanks to Jamie. Hey. Caveman says, better known by his stage name, Robert Zadar was an American best known for his role in Officer Matt Cordell in the cult horror film Maniac Cop and its 2 sequels.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the count rising, I'm surprised RoboCop hasn't made an appearance yet. Yeah,
it's not over yet. Got one more.
And we were going to get to it now. So I'm assuming this is not going to be
T2.
No. But you will know the film. You know what I mean? I'm going to show you one this time that you will know. You may not like it, but you will know it. Okay, so released in 1984, this one by TriStar Pictures. It is Tom Selleck in Runaway.
Fun movie. Gene Simmons.
Yeah, fantastic film. Film set in sort of like an advanced society where most of the homes have now got robots that are taking over everyday jobs, whether that's cooking or cleaning or taking your dog for a walk or whatever it is. Robots have now made an appearance in society to sort of make life easier. And with the advancement in society, the police force needed a special task force in place that could deal with problems with robots when they arose. And in this particular film, Tom Selleck runs a division of the police force that are known as Runaways, which are malfunctioning robots. And it's classed as a pretty much mundane job within the police force, and it's a very small task force that he's got. At the beginning of the film, you see him going out to a farm in the middle of nowhere, and a crazy like harvester bot has gone nuts, and it's like injured a firm hand, and it's like cutting down crops weirdly in a field. And his new buddy, the woman at the side of him, thinks it's going to be all sort of like glamorous and exciting the way he stops it. And basically, he just sort of like hits it with a taser and it stops. And like you get the feeling at the beginning of the film, like Selleck's really pissed off that this job's not as good as it should be, and he just wants to be a normal police officer. But it's gone past that point now. He's the guy to deal with all the particular robot crap that's going on. And then bit by bit, they start to take notice that there's more and more malfunctions starting to go on in household appliances, household robots. to where Selleck's called out to the very, very first homicide that's involved a robot, and a robot's gone sort of haywire, and it's killed its owner. And Selleck wants to get down to it, and then what Selleck realizes is there's a chip implanted in this particular brand of model of robot, and he thinks this chip is to blame. And while he's examining the chip, it sort of like self-destructs, it ignites itself, it burns out, and the evidence is gone. And then slowly but surely, a bit after that, sort of all hell sort of like breaks out, and stuff's going awry everywhere. And then sort of like in steps Gene Simmons as like the bad guy, but he's the bad guy. It's his company that's sort of prototyping these new microchips that are going into these household robots. But the microchip itself shouldn't be going into these robots. What he's actually doing is the microchip is developing for secret weapons that he's trying to sell on the black market, or he's trying to sell to government bodies across the world. And sort of like Tom Selleck sort of gets onto this, and then you start to see all these weapons come out. So you sort of like see a smart heat-seeking bullet that Gene Simmons fires from a gun. You see sort of robotic smart bombs that are put out through the bottom of a car, and it chases other cars that locks onto other cars and targets. And there's a scene in the film where he has to neutralize that while they're on a motorway. The very end of the film was sort of like, I would imagine, the most iconic scene of the film. And this little guy down here, the sort of like little robotic acid spitting spiders that could attack you from pretty much anywhere, and they're sort of used as a like a suicide spider. They can get into people's apartments or houses. It can inject people with a venom and then get away, and then people really don't know how people have died. Really, really good film, really entertaining. One of those films that was on sort of late night TV all through my childhood into my early teens. I watched it forever and a day. Tom Selleck was into this. This was going to be sort of breakout film. He made this in between seasons of Magnum. So it's around that particular kind of time frame. So Selleck was sort of picking up pace in the whole acting kind of thing, and Magnum had got him out there, and I think he wanted a film career, and he wanted more than what he was getting, and they came to him with this film, and he took it. Cynthia Rhodes, she plays his partner in this one. Gene Simmons again plays the bad guy. Kirstie Alley's in this. Everyone knows Kirstie Alley. And Joey Kramer's also in this as well. Joey Kramer plays Tom Selleck's son. Everyone knows Joey Kramer is from Flight of the Navigator. Again, this was a decent budget film. This was really, really pushed. And again, it's a Michael Crichton film. Had a budget of £8 million, this film, and absolutely tanked at the box office. I think it did 6 million. Was a flop, but there was a major reason that it was a flop. I think if this had been at a different point of time, it might have done well. But the reason it was a big flop was it came out at the same time as The Terminator. And the Terminator was just annihilating everything. And this never even got a sniff. And it was a shame because it's actually a good little film. You know what I mean? It's done really well. Yeah, the sort of like scientific advancement element in it. If you watch it now, it's a bit bland. You was expecting more from robots of the future than being just like square boxes on wheels, you know what I mean? And I think that sort of let it down a little bit as well, that the sort of robots in it just didn't look like robots, you know what I mean? You couldn't really explain what they were. But it's a film I've always loved. It's a film I've always enjoyed. It's one of those I can put on at any time and get some kind of enjoyment out of it. And again, if you've never seen Runaway, it's definitely worth checking out. And again, I like Tom Selleck. I like Tom Selleck as an actor. He's a great guy. You know what I mean? He's pretty good in this.
I do too. That says a Michael Crichton film. That's the guy that wrote the Jurassic Park books, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. Good pick. I haven't seen that movie in so long, man. I need to revisit that.
All right, so kind of going back to my last pick again. This is the last time I'll do this. I wanted to show you guys something. You know, me being a a firearms enthusiast and really into movie guns and everything. Speaking of Lethal Weapon, the main gun that Martin Riggs uses is the iconic Beretta 92,
92.
which, I got one of these, I think maybe 5 years ago. I got this used at a gun shop. They only wanted like $300 for it. I'm like, hell yeah, just to have it. It's a 9mm pistol. This gun has been safety checked. There's no bullets in it. It's a very iconic 80s action movie gun, used by Mel Gibson's character. It's also used by Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Yeah, pretty much every 80s movie used this pistol. This was an Army service weapon for the U.S. military, I think, for about 20 years until it was replaced by Glock. One of the main reasons is because the barrel of the gun is exposed. Look how the barrel's, it's not covered by anything. So when they would have this in the desert and everything, it'd get all shitted up with sand and all kinds of gunk and stuff like that. That's why they ended up switching. But Pops, if you remember Lethal Weapon 4, like Jet Li takes apart the pistol with like one move. See that part?
Oh yeah.
I was trying to say, I'm like, did they just do that for the movie? How the hell did he do that? Even Mel Gibson goes, how the hell did he take apart my gun like that? So I'm looking at the mechanics of the pistol. I'm like, I got to see how he does that. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, there's a button here.
A lever on one side and a button on the other.
Here. There's a lever on this side. Yeah. And even the guys at the gun shop said, if you're using this for self-defense, don't use it for self-defense. Use something else because someone could take apart your pistol just by covering it. And just by going like this in one little swipe, 3, 2, 1, boom, it's apart.
Yeah.
Because I pressed down those.
I think everybody here wants to see you get up and do the Jet Li move. Yeah. Bring your mom in. I want to see it reenacted.
They did that in Kingsman too. If you ever seen Kingsman, they end up taking apart the pistol, and then one guy gets stabbed with the bottom of the pistol right in the right in the neck. But yeah, the Beretta 92, very iconic weapon from the 80s. Not as practical as you'd like it to be, but still cool to have.
It's enormous.
Collection.
It's a big,
so anyway, back on my number one pick. This is floating between two movies, and I kind of wanted to save it because I didn't want to steal Pops' thunder because I know it's Pops' favorite movie of all time, so I let it go. But with that being said, I had to go with 1993's Jurassic Park. This is the movie that I saw when I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. I didn't get to see it in theaters. I saw it in this lady that was babysitting me. Me and her kids were watching it. They got it on VHS the day it came out. And I'm sitting there in front of the TV, and I was locked in from the opening scene until the very last shot of the movie when the credits started rolling. Instantly became my favorite movie of all time. And it still kind of is, it's mixed with like Jurassic Park, Jaws, and Home Alone is my top 3. They kind of always switch. But yeah, this is that movie that just kind of made me fall in love with cinema in general, with collecting movies. Really good creature feature. It's a mix of action, sci-fi, a little bit of horror if you count the raptors in the kitchen. That was horror to me. I was scared that scene. The opening scene, you see the shot of that big tractor coming through the trees, and it's carrying the big raptor pen. You don't see the raptor. You don't know what it looks like, but you know something's in there. And you see the establishing shot of Robert Muldoon with his famous Spaz 12 shotgun. He's standing there looking all badass. He's pretty much Jurassic Park's version of Quint, which I always thought was kind of cool. You can kind of see the similarities between the two guys. That opening scene of them putting the raptor in there and the one guy ends up falling off and getting drug into the pen and eaten. That scared me as a kid. But yeah, just the animatronic use in this movie between the practical effects and mixed with CGI, it was so ahead of its time. I mean, the animatronics and the CGI in this movie specifically are so much better than Jurassic World, Dominion, and Fallen Kingdom. Like nothing tops it.
Everything but the move in herd scene.
Oh yeah, really I know what you're talking about.
That move in herd scene, they should just cut it from the fucking. But the rest of it is incredible, I think. Still,
the whole T-Rex scene with the kids in the car, you see the water starting to vibrate, and when she shines a light into the T-Rex's eye, and the pupil dilates.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah,
so great.
That's another version of Stan Winston. They brought him in for the dinosaur animatronics, just like they did with Predator.
You see the breath on the glass.
Yeah.
It's done.
Stan Winston's
great.
an absolute genius at his craft of what he
I did see that in theaters, and that was a hell of an experience.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. So that was the only one I didn't see in theaters originally. I did catch the 20th anniversary when it came out in 3D. Thought that was pretty cool. Finally got to see it on big screen.
Yeah, I never seen it in 3D.
But yeah, the cast of characters, I mean, Spielberg didn't really cast a lot of A-listers in this. I mean, besides like you got Richard Attenborough coming back from years of hiatus, very popular actor. You got Jeff Goldblum in there from The Fly. Sam Neill, who I didn't really know much of in the 90s besides his later stuff. But then you got Laura Dern. So you didn't get really many A-listers, but that cast just together, I mean, they made that movie work. I mean, they are the heart of that movie. Every one of those cast members has such great chemistry. My favorite character in the movie, hands down, is the villain, Wayne Knight, who plays Dennis Nedry. He's such a goofy character, but he's a likable villain. I don't know what it was with him.
No.
Seeing him with his Hawaiian shirt and everything like that. Putting the shaving cream on the pie. Some poor soul ate that pie. But yeah, I ended up getting a replica prop of the cryo can. I got it off of Etsy for like $200. That was pretty cool. I always thought that was a neat prop. But basically, like, if you don't know the plot of Jurassic Park, I mean, it's a billionaire who owns an island, and he has a biological
no expense.
He leases the island. It's a lease.
It's how he words it. He goes, "I own an island off the coast of Costa Rica.
Yeah,
I leased it from the government." It's like he just.
What did you just say, man? You're gonna build a theme park on leased land? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So
spared no expense. Spared no expense except for on security. Security.
He's a billionaire who ends up setting up a biological preserve. They found a way to bring back dinosaurs. They show you in the tour how they do it. They find all this fossilized amber with the mosquitoes trapped inside. They extract the blood from the mosquitoes. They find out what it is. They add a couple of odds and ends in there, like frog DNA and some other animals,
essentially cloning
to kind of make the clone dinosaurs. And
they're doing that now with people's pets.
Really?
You bring your pet's DNA in, and you'll get an exact clone of your dog or your cat.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
But some of the species
you have to spare no expense, but you can do it.
Some of the species that you see in the movie, obviously, the T-Rex being the star of the movie for the carnivores. Then you got the raptors, who are like the main antagonists. They were brutal in this one. I mean, when you think of Jurassic Park, you think of raptor mayhem. Those raptors are crazy. And then you didn't
mention Sam Jackson as probably the worst IT customer service rep in history. He seems to not know how computers work.
Yeah,
right.
He's just like, access main program.
Access main security.
Smoking the whole time, and he's just like, I don't know if this is going to work or not. Anyway, turns the thing on.
Turn it off.
Oh, I love the quote. Look at this workstation. What a complete slop. So it made the T-Rex popular. I mean, you got the raptors. Another one that, for the demise of Dennis Nedry, you got the Dilophosaurus, which that was a real dinosaur, but they kind of came up with like the frills that come out and like the spitting venom.
Yeah.
That was kind of added into the movie for, like flair and effect, but it wasn't really a poisonous dinosaur in real life. But you get the Dilophosaurus. That was a jump scare for me as a kid. Just this little tiny dinosaur that kind of sounds like a swan. It's following Dennis Nedry up the hill. And one of my favorite lines in the movie, he's like, he turns around, he puts his hood up, and he's like, "Oh, nice boy, oh, nice boy." You see the dinosaur fall, and he's like, "Stick, stupid. That's a stick." He throws a stick. He's like, "Well, no wonder you're extinct. I'm gonna run you over when I come back down."
Yeah.
But just like the things behind him, and then he turns and looks at it, and the thing just goes blah, like the whole neck frill comes out. I'm like, whoa! First time I ever saw it as a kid, it was such a jump scare. He gets the venom spit at him. He gets blinded in the eyes by I thought that was so disturbing, very disturbing to see that as a kid. You got the scene of the T-Rex breaking out of the pen because, Dennis Nedry shuts the power off to try to steal the embryos and get off the island. The T-Rex breakout scene is so iconic because when they first go to the T-Rex scene, you don't see it. They put the goat out to try to to bait the T-Rex, and it's such a letdown.
Yep.
They realize, oh yeah, well, animals aren't going to follow park schedules, right? They don't see the T-Rex, they don't see the Dilophosaurus at first, but when that happens, when you finally see this thing is massive. You know, it eats the goat. You see the goat leg fall on top of the car. It comes up and you just see it through the electric fence. It swallows the goat whole. That was all practical, by the way. That's an actual animatronic that's like swallowing that goat. Breaks through this thing. Is like just the way it looked and all the sound effects they had to make that T-Rex roar. So brilliant. You got the lawyer who runs out and like leaves the kids alone in the car. He's sitting on the toilet. He's all terrified. Just that whole scene of the breakout and Malcolm's waving the flare. He's trying to get the T-Rex away from the kids and ends up, running into the outhouse. The lawyer, he's sitting on the toilet. T-Rex eats him off the toilet. So iconic. Just, I love that scene. But yeah, the whole movie, just from once they're on the island and the dinosaurs break out, it's this complete adventure just from start to finish of Grant with the two kids trying to make it to safety. The very iconic scene of, the raptors getting out of the pen and Muldoon gets his famous Spaz 12 shotgun out and he's hunting down the raptor. Brad, I've talked to you about this scene before where he sees the raptor. He thinks it's the big one, right?
Yeah.
And there's just that iconic scene of him undoing the folding stock of the shotgun, pulling it out and making it longer and putting the gun up, realizing that he was just ambushed by the actual big raptor.
Yeah.
So one of the drones was in front of him, and then the big one was right to his side, ambushed. He never got to use the shotgun, but just that famous line, clever girl accepts his fate. He accepts that he knows he's done. But I told Brad before, like that scene itself is what made me go out and buy a Spaz 12 shotgun. So I do have one of those shotguns in my collection just because of Jurassic Park. Brad's held it before. Brad's always told me you don't need that. You don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need it. No one needs that.
That gun will be buried with me. Without a doubt. I don't care whatever else.
Would you bet your life if you were going to go fight Velociraptors? Would you bet your life on that gun working?
I would not know because I'm starting. The more I use that shotgun, the more I've fired it, the more I've messed around with it. I'm starting to think the people that designed that shotgun have never even shot a gun before. No. There's so many buttons and configure. It's like, what the hell? It took me an hour to figure out how to load the thing.
It's the best looking shotgun.
It's not like a regular shotgun.
Yeah, it's the best looking shotgun in the world.
It's
it does
so
work.
Cool looking. I love it, but it's a piece of crap.
But it's they're really not very. It's like a sport. They're Italian. It's like a Ferrari. You're not supposed to drive it every day. Okay, you drive it every once in a while, and it's not supposed to work very well. It's just supposed to look good. That's exactly what it is.
Yep. But yeah, so that movie, like when I said, there's horror elements in it. You got that scene with the raptor ambushing Muldoon, and then you got the scene of the raptors in the kitchen. I mean, every part of that scene was suspense. The kids are running away. You see the raptor can open the doors, and they're like crawling on the ground, and the raptor's on the other side of the table. Just that. Oh my God. I just remember the first time I seen that, I was shaking. I was so scared. I just wanted those kids to get out of there. The final scene of the movie is when they're making their way away from the raptors, and they're on top of that T-Rex skeleton. The skeleton just falls from the ceiling. They're getting surrounded by two raptors. And just before that raptor's about to make the kill shot, T-Rex comes in and just goes in for the kill on the raptor. So cool. Absolutely amazing. That iconic last shot of the T-Rex roaring as the banner falls down in front of it. Very awesome. I mean, that to me was one of the best things I've ever seen as a kid was that movie, Jurassic Park. And once I seen that movie, I had my mom go out and buy me a copy of it on VHS. I wore that thing to shit. One of the movies where I've had to buy it on every format, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K. Never got the Blu-ray 3D. Didn't need it. But, 2018, they came out with that box set of the first four movies. I wish they did individual slips. But we finally got them last year. So here it is with the original, just iconic artwork right there. But yeah, Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I got that poster right there in the front.
Yeah.
So.
Spawned 5 sequels. Jurassic Park, The Lost World. I mean, that's the sequel, still directed by Spielberg. You got Jurassic Park 3, which for me was the weakest of the franchise until Dominion came out. Jurassic World, which is the fourth movie, a great comeback to the franchise. A lot of homages to the first one. Then you got Fallen Kingdom, which I owe a big apology to because I thought that was the worst one until Dominion came out. I'm like, oh my God, Dominion is the worst of the franchise, and I can't believe I hyped it up so much. But yeah, for having 6 movies, I mean, the Jurassic brand, it's still a fun franchise for sure. But to me, the first 2 will always be special. I saw, The Lost World in the theaters, that movie's even darker than Jurassic Park. That movie's very violent compared to the first one. But yeah, it doesn't get any better than the first 2 movies. There's also a lot of Jurassic Park merchandise that's been coming out. So Mattel got the Jurassic Park brand. So Mattel's been putting out all kinds of throwback figures and everything to make it look like the Kenner toy line. A lot of Funko Pops coming out of Jurassic. You got video games that are starting to come out. Now that it's the 30th anniversary, there's so much Jurassic merchandise coming out. So if you're a fan, I mean, now's the time to start stocking up on your Jurassic merchandise. But yeah, I mean, any kid, I think any kid nowadays could still like this movie. It's still
definitely.
Jurassic Park overrated. I mean, it might be overrated to some older people, but I saw it, in
at the right age, the right time.
Yeah.
And at that age, it's like it's kind of probably the first kind of almost adult thing that you're allowed to see as a kid because it has dark elements and stuff.
Yep.
It hit a lot of people at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, like some of the stuff, like when she's running from that raptor, and when the raptor finally reveals itself, when you see what the thing looks like, she's like, Mr. Hammond, I think we're back in business. And then the raptor bursts through the pipes behind her. You're like, whoa, another jump scare. Like you see Samuel L. Jackson's arm fall on her. She's saved by him. She turns around. It's a severed arm. I'm like, oh my God, I was so scared when I saw that. I couldn't believe that's in a PG-13 movie. Just seeing a severed arm.
Spielberg had points.
Kind of wish you could have. I wish they would have filmed the death scene. That would have been kind of cool. Like if there was like a scene of that. But
I read somewhere that Steven Spielberg was made over $1 billion off the first Jurassic Park alone.
He's made over $1 billion.
Made over $1 billion because he had points. He had points in the whole thing.
Yeah,
the toys, the whole 9.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, to me, I'm always like, all right. So you think about the '90s and Spielberg. I'm like, I think Jurassic Park is his masterpiece of the '90s. But then you think it's like, oh, wait a minute. He's got Schindler's List. That won him an Oscar. Then he's got Saving Private Ryan, another one that won him an Oscar. So he's got so many bangers in the '90s that you could just, describe as his best movie. But to me, it's always going to be Jurassic Park. I think Jaws is another great one that I think Pops loves just as much as I do. But to me, like Jurassic Park was that one movie that made me fall in love with cinema and being a 5-year-old kid. So I'll always love Jurassic Park. That was the movie that got me hooked as a movie lover. So everything I have in my collection, I kind of owe to Jurassic Park, being that movie that just, made it happen, made me a cinema lover.
Ruined your life forever.
Made me fall in love with Slips.
Everybody's got those, man. Mine would probably be the Star Wars franchise. That was what got me hooked on movies. I got it started for me.
Man, with Jurassic Park, I have in my collection here, and it's probably one of the cleanest things I own, an original sell-through, the first run of VHS tapes. So it's the first sell-through VHS of Jurassic Park that came out in the UK. It's in really good condition, but it's still sealed.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It's still sealed, and it's got the original booklet in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Wow.
Right on eBay.
That's probably worth the money right there.
Yeah,
that's a nice piece right there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. It's in unbelievable condition.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely. So yeah, it's like Jurassic Park. Like, you know what it is.
Great pick.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a great film.
Well, my number 1, I have yammered on about this movie in 2 other streams, so I'm going to keep it really short. I am a monster fan of this director. I hope he continues to make movies, even though he may or may not be blackballed. We don't know. 2017, it's Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Cool.
Listed as an action movie, kind of a crime. There's a lot of action in this. So this is the only reason I left it in it, because this character, Bradley Thomas, played by Vince Vaughn, has numerous fight scenes in this. So I would still call it an action movie, even though it's got a really gritty kind of grindhouse 70s style. Like I said, written and directed by Craig S. Zoller. He's made 3 movies: Bone Tomahawk, Dragged Across Concrete, and Brawl in Cell Block 99. They're all great. Vince Vaughn as Bradley Thomas is a ex-boxer, current tow truck driver, mid-recession, who loses his job. His wife is Jennifer Carpenter, played by Jennifer Carpenter. This director, Craig Zoller, has his favorites like Quentin Tarantino. He brings them back for all the movies. Jennifer Carpenter and Vince Vaughn have been in 2 of the 3. Jennifer Carpenter, Bradley Thomas' character, comes home early to find that Jennifer Carpenter, his wife, has been cheating on him. He quickly sends her in the house and destroys her car right in front of her. So you get a sense this guy's, like a very formidable. Anyway, he decides that they're going to try again. They want to have a baby, and he's going to forgive her. And they live in a shithole. Money's always been a problem. You can tell that. They're recovering alcoholics, both of them. And he decides he's going to fix the situation by turning to crime. He has a friend in the drug business, and he's going to be a courier for him. Obviously, he ends up in prison, by the title, and he has to find his way through the prison system to save his wife, who ends up kidnapped throughout this. It's a whole plot. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but Udo Kier, the scumbag lawyer, is great in this. Just playing a straight up, totally black-eyed evil person. Don Johnson as the warden is awesome in this also. Don Johnson's been in, I believe, maybe all 3. No, probably 2 out of the 3 of Zoller's movies. If you know Zoller, you know the style. Everything is just grimy and gritty and brutal. And this is no different. Vince Vaughn, like I said, it's kind of the situation where he has to do a lot of things he wouldn't like to do to save his wife and his unborn child. Anyway, I've gone on and on about this in other streams, but yeah, Brawl in Cell Block 99. This 4K is very cheap. You can get this for $7-8. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend a blind buy. It's RLJ. It's a good one.
Yeah, good film.
A lot of fun.
Well, this is another one that's already been mentioned, but I can't keep this off the list. To me, this is a masterpiece. It's probably the best sequel ever made. Of course, this will probably piss off Tony. Okay. But it's right up there with Empire Strikes Back, in my opinion, as well as Top Gun Maverick as far as sequels go. But yeah, I mean, Pops has pretty much said it all. But again, it's T2.
Showfest Steelbook, man, it's badass.
Yeah, I prefer it without the slipcover on it, just because the artwork is so badass.
Yeah,
it's freaking can't get enough. I know a lot of people hate on the transfer for whatever reason. I'm fine with it. It looks great to me.
Yep.
Has some issues here and there with that digital noise reduction, but Pops has pretty much said it all. I mean, this, I believe, was the first $100 million movie ever made. It's definitely one of the first rated R movies I ever saw, especially with Arnold. Got me into Arnold, so it's definitely nostalgia for me, but I watched it a couple of years after, and this is probably going to surprise everyone. I have never seen the first Terminator. I've seen this probably 30 times. I've never seen the first Terminator. I just picked it up the other day, so I do have it now. Looking to check that one out, but yeah, I have not seen the first one, so I
look forward to your thoughts on that one, man. It's a totally different film.
That's what I keep hearing, so I'm curious, but I mean, it's got to be still. I think it's up my alley for sure. But it's got Arnold in it. But my favorite scene in this has got to be the bike chase scene in the LA river. It's just iconic for me with the T-1000 in the truck, and then of course you got Arnold coming in with the chopper to save him. But yeah, this is just I love this movie. I've loved it since I've seen it. Trying to think of anything else that he missed, but yeah, I mean, Robert Patrick just absolutely terrified me when he changes his hand into that sword essentially and kills the foster parents. That kind of traumatized me at first and scared me. But yeah, absolutely love the movie. As you mentioned, the CGI was like incredible at the time when it came out. The liquid alloy, being able to shape shift to different people, getting blown, shot in the face and just kind of regenerate was all pretty iconic. Of course, it's not the greatest today, but I think it still holds up for what it is. And for it being a 32-year-old movie, I mean, how relevant is that movie today with AI now? I mean, it's kind of eye-opening, like where we're going and like with Skynet and stuff. So yeah,
my Amazon Alexa just laughed, by the way.
What's that?
My Amazon Alexa just laughed at you.
Oh, really?
She's been listening the whole time. She says, "Like."
But yeah, I hate to recopy Pops, but yeah, this for me was my number one from the very beginning. This was the one movie I knew for sure I was keeping on this list. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I don't know what else to say, but I think everyone knows this movie to a T. So yeah, Terminator 2 can't go wrong.
All right, well, yeah, that's a great pick, man. I kind of went back and forth what I was going to do here because let me just go ahead and get through this part. This was my number one. Craig pretty much did a fucking table read. He went through the whole movie, did a fantastic job. I can't say anything that Craig had already covered, but this is my number one. But I'm gonna make a little side step. I didn't want to burn one of my other picks for part 2 to the screen, but I am gonna burn one. So this was my number one. But my alternative, I'm gonna talk about here. This was definitely be in my top 5. It was originally in my top 5, but it kind of dropped out, and it's not going to be the first one. It's going to be the second one.
Die Hard 2.
No, I'm sorry, third one. I'm sorry. Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Brilliant film.
Die Hard with a Vengeance to me. Now, this might be a hot take. I don't fucking know. Everybody loves Die Hard. I love Die Hard. I've seen it in theaters. It was fantastic. It's this quintessential 80s action. It's fantastic. But rewatchability is a big thing for me. And when I'm throwing in a Die Hard movie, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yes.
Simply because of Samuel L. Jackson. Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, their chemistry in this movie is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
This is I've been saying this through the whole stream. The better the villain, the better the movie. Now, of course, you got fucking Hans Gruber in Die Hard, one of the greatest villains of all times. You got his brother in this movie here, played by Jeremy Irons, of course, Scar himself from Lion King. He does a fucking fantastic job. I just think he kills it. But the person that steals the entire movie to me is Samuel L. Jackson. Every time he's on the screen, everything that he does playing the character Zeus, is just second to none. I just rewatched this again last night for probably the fucking 100th time, and just to see if it was still going to be there, still going to be in my top 5, and it definitely going to make it. If it wasn't for Predator, this might have been my number one. It's a fucking fantastic action movie. The opening shot. You get that fucking I can't remember the name of the song, Back of My Neck Getting Dirty and Gritty. Anyway, boom, the bomb goes off. As soon as that bomb goes off, there you go. You're right in the middle of a Die Hard movie. You know, fucking Bruce Willis is haggard, he's drunk, his head's killing him. He has to go to the fucking middle of fucking Harlem wearing that fucking sign.
Yeah.
You know, and right there you're like, holy shit. And then of course Samuel Jackson comes out and sees that sign, you know some shit's fixing to go down. You know, and just that opening fucking shot, Samuel Jackson seeing the gun taped to his back. You know, a little reference to Die Hard, by the way.
Yeah.
The first one. He pulls the fucking gun. He's like, get back. Get the fuck back. That opening scene. Them getting in the taxi cab. The taxi driver freaking the fuck out as they drive off. I'm hooked right there. Adrenaline's kicked in. And the whole time playing the fucking Simon Says game, it's gold is what it is. Bruce Willis suggested Samuel Jackson for this movie, and Samuel Jackson was thrilled. He said that he has seen the first Die Hard movie at least 30 times. And so basically they had just done Pulp Fiction together the year before. And so basically he recommended Samuel Jackson be in this movie. Originally the part was going to be played by a female, I believe. It was going to be a female character. And they pretty much redid it for Samuel Jackson, the way I understand it. Samuel Jackson says that Zeus in this character in this movie is the closest character he's ever played that matches his real life personality. And he said it's one of the best things he's ever done, he said, as far as his favorite film. It was the highest grossing movie of 1995. And I love the scene. There's a little nod to Pulp Fiction in this. I don't know if you guys ever picked up on it or not. But basically, when they're kind of running through the city or whatever, Bruce Willis makes a comment. He says, I was working on a nice fat suspension, smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. Oh. You know, right before he hits Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction, he's listening to the Oak Ridge Boys version of that song. It's on the soundtrack, great soundtrack. And so that's a little nod to Pulp Fiction there. But there's just every single time that Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson are on the screen, I can't take my eyes off the screen. You know, Samuel Jackson, he's one of my favorite actors. There's nothing he's in I'm not going to watch. If he's in the movie, I'm going to watch it. And this is one of my favorite things, other than maybe Pulp Fiction, I've ever seen him in. So this is not a number one. Predator is still my number one. But I wanted to talk about this movie, but I didn't quite know where to place it at. Truthfully, out of the movies I've shown tonight, this probably would have landed about number 3. But Die Hard with a Vengeance, man. Like I said, most people go straight to Die Hard, which I can understand why. But to me, Die Hard with a Vengeance is the funnest in this franchise.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of fun, man. So what are y'all's thoughts on that? Do y'all rate that higher or lower than part 1? What's y'all's favorite Die Hard movie? How would you rate the Die Hards?
Go on.
I like 4 the most.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Live for your Die
I'm
Hard.
not kidding. I just like 4.
No, I like 4. I like 4. This is not my favorite. Okay.
Justin Long is that one?
Justin Long. You get the writing from Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I do like that one.
Yeah,
I didn't like it the first time I seen it. It grew on me after I watched it.
It's beyond like a normal guy. He's doing crazy shit in it, but I do like it a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'd go
the last one. They go to Russia is terrible. Good Day to Die Hard. That's garbage.
13425.
Yeah, I can fluctuate between 1 and 3 being my favourites. 2 I can give a take. The rest of them I don't really care for.
I enjoy 2 as well. I think 2's fun. You know, I mean, it's a little silly. You know, I mean, but I don't mind 2. I don't rewatch it a whole lot. If I go through to watch the Die Hard series, whatever, I still always enjoy it. You know, but definitely mine's going to be probably get right down to it's probably 3-1-2. Probably 3-1-4-2 will probably be where I'd rank them. I don't even classify 5.
5 is garbage.
Garbage, man. One time theater watch, and I've never seen it again.
Well, now what we know about Bruce Willis, I'm sure he was suffering from it during that. You know, like if you watch 5, he's like getting ready to, you know, they're going to shoot the bad guys. The guy, Jai Courtney, right next to him, shoulders the gun. Bruce Willis is like pointing at the ground in front of him. He can't even raise the gun anymore. You know, so it's just he was just a mess when he was making that.
He didn't feel like John McClane in that movie, though. Like,
he felt like a guy that's got a debilitating disease, trying to make a bunch of money before he dies to leave his family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yep. And we all mocked Bruce Willis for how shitty his movies got. He got it. It turns out he was just trying to, you know, set up some money for his kids.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to leave off at here. We're going to read out the chat and get on out of here, guys. We've been going for about 3.5 hours, about normal.
Yep.
I think this is where we left off at. Wild Wrangler says RoboCop was my number 1.
Solid.
Right before that, Body Count said, I'm surprised RoboCop hasn't made an appearance yet.
Yeah, I'm a monster RoboCop guy. I just, again, it is an action movie, but Paul Verhoeven is a special director, and it's satire first to me. And the action is just the mechanism for the satire.
I get that.
I didn't look at it.
If we do a part 3 to this, possibly in part 2, we do a part 3 to this, RoboCop might be on my list.
Yeah.
That's about where it lands for me as far as my rankings go. Fan of it, I own it, but you know, I enjoy it.
Yeah, speaking to those satires, I just love the commercials that he does for RoboCop and of course Starship Troopers. He kind of mimic the same thing.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah.
I've heard of Runaway. Good choice, Tony. Need to check those films out that you mentioned. Yeah, Runaway. The one thing about that was a big deal back in the day for me because I was a big Kiss fan. Was Gene Simmons being in it?
Yeah,
I thought it was cool seeing Gene Simmons in a movie.
Yeah, and again with the 5 that I've chosen, you know what I mean. I wanted to try and show something that maybe a lot of people have never seen before or never even heard of.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
You've succeeded.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of your movie choices.
I do want to see what's his name? Your Tank Ass, Tank Boy,
Mandroid,
Mandroid. Yeah, I got to see Mandroid. My number 1 movie is Die Hard at 88. Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, directed by John McTiernan. The sky's the limit. Yeah, John McTiernan did this one also, man.
I didn't realize
Vengeance.
he did Predator and Die Hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean Alan Rickman's brilliant in it.
Perfect.
Della movie saw Runaway way back in the day. I don't remember much at all. Versus, oh my gosh, it's Runaway. I did have this movie, but I just sold it to CEX and never did watch it. Did I make a mistake? Oh dear, I will have to rebuy it now. Thanks, Tony.
Yes, Crusher, you did make a mistake. Buy it back.
Adele says the first scene with the T-Rex is definitely horror.
Yeah.
Love Jurassic Park. Yeah, clever girl.
Clever girl.
There's no you in that, Chris. I don't think it is. Does it say you clever girl? He says clever girl,
Just
right?
a clever girl.
All right, get it together, Chris. Come on, man. Love Jurassic Park. Saw it in theaters. I was 8 or 9. Yeah, I was married and had a kid.
Yeah.
First wife. Miss Caven said your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop if they should.
I think they should.
Yeah.
Great
Jeff
line.
Goldblum, man. Jeff Goldblum's golden.
It's so good.
Yeah, he's fantastic in that.
The only one on my side is the blood sucking lawyer.
Yeah.
I hate that man.
You're supposed to protect me. You're supposed to be here to back me up. They're all telling him it's a horrible idea.
Yeah.
I saw Jurassic Park 1 through 3 and World. Yeah, Jurassic World did not impress me. Jurassic Park overrated. Well, they sit there so Craig can enjoy that for a minute.
Yeah.
I love Jurassic World for how stupid it is. I mean, I saw Jurassic Park 1 through 3 and Jurassic World in theaters. It's funny to me how people, I don't want to say this generation, whatever, but people now, like, the age that I was when Jurassic Park came out, most of them like Jurassic World better. Just because they wasn't there whenever Jurassic Park came out. You know what I'm saying? Or they wasn't old enough to appreciate it. And it's just funny to me. I think to myself, I enjoy the World movies, but they're okay. But they're not like world changing like Jurassic Park was. When it came out.
A mess too, because the second one is the Lost World, and then Jurassic World. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. Dinosaurs did not belong to the Jurassic period. Okay, man. Instead, most of the dinosaurs came from the Cretaceous age. So, I probably said that wrong. So, in order for the title to be more accurate, it would have been Cretaceous Park. Don't quite roll off the tongue the same way.
Doesn't quite do it. And it's off of a book. The book's called Jurassic Park.
Right.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I've got a copy of the book.
Okay, so I helped design the Remington Shotgun Marine Magnum version. Also helped with the Remington 700 muzzleloader, Remington 700 EV, and the primer cups for the ammunition. For it was ignited with a battery.
Nice.
Nice. That doesn't have the same ring, caveman. I can't let facts get in the way of marketing.
Right.
Body Cat Rides a cool piece, Tony. Yep.
Cheers, man.
Also number 1, Brad.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. If you want to be depressed, check out Brawl.
Never seen it.
Chris is great number 1, Brad. Brawl is sub like 99. Okay,
Guessing it's nothing like
we could be friends again, Sydney.
It's not a comedy like you'd think. With Vince Vaughn in it.
Alex, let's go Reed. Perfect pick for number 1. Yep. Great number 1, Reed. Why is the Brawl director at a risk of being blackballed? That's a good question because I don't remember that story.
It's a whole thing. It's a political issue with him and Hollywood. He's from Staten Island.
Shocker.
Hollis says, don't let him back till he watches T1.
Yeah.
That might be a rule.
Yeah, right.
No 4K at T1 yet either.
I need to interview guests better. I need to have a line of questions to ask the guests when they get on here. That should have been like question 3. Never seen Terminator. Head blown.
I do got it.
Yeah. I'll be excited to see what you think about it, man. Spicy has never seen Terminator yet. Head blown. Alice says, Alan's face when Reed said he hadn't seen the Terminator was priceless. He literally went. Yeah, sometimes I forget how motherfuckers can see me, I guess. My facial expressions say a lot. And sometimes I try to hide that, but.
I'm sure Gizmo will clip it.
Special effects in T1 can be compared with worse than Total Recall. That's another movie that I'm surprised that made the list somewhere.
Yeah.
Total Recall again.
Thinking about it.
Crazy Paul Verhoeven movie.
Yep.
Best line of that movie when basically they're saying, whatever they say about turning the air back on, whatever. And he's like, fuck them.
Yeah.
It's just such a great.
Let him die. Fuck it. He's the villain in 2 Paul Verhoeven movies.
Yeah.
RoboCop and
RoboCop.
Yeah.
Ronnie Cox.
Ronnie Cox. Dick Jones.
Chris says, I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. Great pick, Pops. Appreciate it, Chris. Die Hard with a Vengeance is outstanding. Me and Dale finally got on the same common ground.
It's solid.
Chris says, I'm a soldier, not a monster. That sometimes I work for monsters. Yeah, man, he's a great actor. And he just sitting there so nonchalant. Oh, you got the safety on. He gets to shoot Samuel L. Jackson in the leg.
Yeah.
Sidney Eubanks, Die Hard with a Vengeance, thumbs up. Alan's song is Summer in the City. There you go. Somebody Love a Spoonful. Appreciate it, Caveman.
Good song.
If you love Samuel L. Jackson, you need to watch him in the movie Formula 51, also known as The 51st State. Alan, he plays a chemist that makes drugs, wears a kilt, and loves to golf. So much fun. I've not seen that.
Yeah, it's a British film. He's in it with hold on, Robert Carlyle.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, Robert Carlyle and Samuel L. Jackson, and it's about a variation of ecstasy that they've made, and they bring it into the British club scene. And Samuel L. Jackson's brought the formula over from the States. Robert Carlyle and his crew are making it over here and then distributing it through the British club scene.
I made a note. I'll check that out. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Robert Carlyle too. I have Formula 51 trippy film. Snap, I didn't know you were a Kiss fan. Alan Ace Frehley is my favorite member. Yeah, I'm maybe a Gene Simmons guy. It was a big deal back in the day. This is totally off. Nobody cares. It's a big deal back in the day when they first revealed no makeup. They came out with that first album, Lick It Up, with no makeup. It was a big deal. If there would have been a fucking internet, it would have broke it.
Everybody quickly said, put the fucking shit back on.
Yeah, they definitely did look better with the makeup on. They finally did. They did.
Not a handsome bunch.
No.
The slasher do Samuel L. Jackson, Robert Carlyle, Meatloaf. Yeah, we're all amazing in that movie. Enjoyed all this pops and panel. Appreciate it, Wild Wrangler.
Yeah, cool.
So,
Honorable Dread 2012. Yes, I'm kind of surprised that wasn't on Brad's list.
Me too.
Yeah.
I knew it was close. Oh, I got that Steelbook, man. I love that Steelbook.
It still looks awesome.
Yeah,
it's a really, really good film.
I enjoyed it a lot. I don't think that 4K is not kind to that movie. You know, the effects, the cityscapes, it kind of looks junky, and it's a cheap South African, movie, and it just 4K. If that got a black and white treatment, it would be excellent. It would really.
That would be a good black and white movie.
CGI is so sloppy, but I still love it. I think it's great, but it didn't make my top five.
Okay, it says Formula 51 is on Crackle, Peacock, and YouTube. Okay. Appreciate it, Caveman. I'll check that out tonight. Whilst out of town for the weekend, I got some time to kill.
Yeah, it's a 101 release as well.
How dare you, Brad? Ace Frehley was very handsome back in the day. Excellent live, gentlemen. Appreciate it, Texas. Appreciate y'all checking out with us, buddy.
Thanks.
Dread needed the sequel. Yep.
Should have got a sequel.
Great live, great picks, gents. Appreciate it, guys. We're gonna get on out of here.
He wears the helmet. And he wears the helmet. It still could get a sequel. It's not like doesn't matter.
He's even bigger than ever after The Boys. So I could see it. I could see that maybe happening one day. I'd like to see it. So you guys got anything you want to talk about? Anything coming up before we get out of here?
Going to be doing Bug on the WTF whenever that comes back. Working on that.
What is it?
Bug. The William Friedkin movie.
Friedkin.
Take time to do it. We can just pass them.
Pops, Tremors, and Arrow.
Oh man, you're like that, man. It's a good flick.
I'm excited for it.
You got the
Pops,
slip.
Arrow announced.
That's
Tremors
right.
2.
I got the slip.
Tremors 2 coming to 4K from Arrow.
Yes, I know. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Nice limited edition set. It's going to be a bald ass. So for sure.
I love
It's going
Tremors.
to look really good next to that first Tremors up there.
You gonna get the green one or the orange one?
I haven't seen that there were two different ones. Fuck, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to look at them. I seen somebody advertise it today. I think it was when I seen was the green one. I didn't see the orange one.
Yeah, it looks like the other one they did kind of the same color.
Yeah,
scheme.
it's for some reason as well. It's US and Canada only.
Yep.
Here it is, Pops. Make this screen big real quick.
Oh damn! It does look like the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've tried to tie it in with the
this
first
is
release.
that Arrow store exclusive. So if you want the first one,
Oh, okay.
the second one to match the first one, you gotta get that, or you can just go with the standard green one, which I don't think looks as good.
It's also a limited, the green one, but yeah, there's a.
I kind of like the
just
green one
this
better. I
looks
think.
better. I like
the green one better. I think it stands out. That looks just like the first one to me.
Yeah.
I kind of like the green one because I think it stands out more from the first one on the shelf.
Yeah.
But I have to look into it. Yeah, I was at work and a little thing popped up on my phone. I just looked at it real fast. But, oh shit! Went back to work. So I didn't see there was two of them. Everybody saying goodbye. Fun stream. Appreciate it. And of course, hello. Go back and watch the replay, man. It was a fun stream, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you stopping by, though. So anybody else got anything before we get out of here?
Possible Scream Factory leak. I saw it. I think today it was Silver Bullet 4K might be announced next month.
Oh shit! Okay.
I think somebody saw a UPC code. Was it UPC code? Was that what they're called?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody saw that on like on a website that it was leaked. Silver Bullet 4K. It doesn't say Scream Factory, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be there.
Yeah. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. Could be a Kino also.
Could be.
Yeah, I can see Kino doing that. Or fuck, it might be one of those fucking nice boxes from Vinegar Syndrome, those VSUs, whatever. I can see that. See that happening.
More Gary Busey on 4K, the better.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, it's been a fun time. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on Friday night. We'll be back with another top 5 soon. We'll announce what the next one's going to be here real soon.
Yeah.
But you guys take care. Have a great weekend.
Later on.
See ya.
See you later on.